We are brought to you by Boss Bears Supplements. That's Boss Bears Supplements at bossbears.co. Hard work, consistency, and determination are difficult to sustain when your mind and body can't keep up. Fuel your body with what it needs to perform like a boss. Whether you're closing deals, pitching a new business idea, or training in the gym, Boss Bears take your hustle to the next level. Our ingredients are the highest quality with potency and serving sizes that are the gold standard in the industry. Check out all of Boss Bears products at bossbears.co. They have apple cider vinegar gummies. They have ashwagandha. They have all kinds of supplements in delicious gummy form. They also have them in pill form if you don't want the gummies. I prefer the gummies. They are delicious, and I've tried the apple cider vinegar. They are very good. Use code Nicky at checkout to save 10%. That's bossbears.co, code Nicky. We are brought to you by Clout Power Supplements. That's KLOUTPWR.com. So here I have the protein, the Cravings protein from Clout. This one is the salted caramel. This is some of the best protein that I've ever had in my life. It's actually delicious. I like the salted caramel and the cinnamon swirl are my two favorites. Also, their pre-workouts are amazing. So they have the Karma Nootropic pre-workout. It's a nootropic and focused pre-workout. It's a lower stimulant formula, zero itch formula. It has 4 trademark ingredients, and has fully dosed ingredients. So far, the Arctic Cherry is probably my favorite of the Karma pre-workout. Also, try the Nero Aminos from them. And also the High Stimulant Mamba is some of my favorite too. And I really like the Arctic Cherry of that one. So go to cloutpower.com and use code Nicky to save 15%. KLOUTPWR.com. Code Nicky to save 15%. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nicky Free Podcast. We are here with president and founder of Roundbox Fitness, Mr. Curt Ligot. Curt, how are you, man?
Good. Excited. I drove out all the way here into the ghetto of Bellevue to come hang out with
Yes,
you.
sir. Is it a far drive for you?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
What's funny is it never really dawned on me. This is the neighborhood we moved to when we moved from Michigan when I was like 3?
No way.
4, yeah. So I was like somewhere in 79. So
old school.
yeah, right?
Old school neighborhood, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This is the ghetto, huh?
No, not at all. But
No, it's actually a pretty nice area, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't think Bellevue has a ghetto, right?
No, that's one thing about Bellevue, man. It's like it's pretty nice, actually.
I love it.
So, Curt, what's been new? President and founder of Roundbox Fitness. You've been helping rehabilitate people, get them back in shape.
Yeah, a lot. But before we start that, I came bearing gifts, like I told you. So I was at the Dollar Tree.
Yes, sir.
This is where I shop. Where I was getting my mom some coconut water.
Ooh, which I love coconut water.
Yeah, right? So I found, dude, look at these.
Oh, no way, bro.
Look,
and you thought of me, didn't you?
Oh, I bought myself a full set too, and then I got you the...
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude.
So,
if you can't see these, I'll put them in my story though.
Yeah,
so like he sees like I already have like my He-Man toys and stuff here, like my little, I got my whiskey, I got my little He-Man stuff, I got Optimus Prime, I got Batman, the Batmobile, and so you're at Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree. So they got Man at Arms and Merman and Orko, but I thought those two were like...
Dude, these are the two that you want. Yeah.
Exactly.
So he got Skeletor and He-Man, these little mini action figures.
Yeah.
Bro, those are sick.
They're legit, right?
They actually are super legit.
Yeah.
They're like the real deal. Like
$1. Come on.
They're like the mini version of the real thing.
Yeah, or like the blister cars. I was like, how do I not buy these?
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we're kids of the 80s, obviously.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, man. Did you used to watch that show a lot?
Yeah, I mean, because, when I was in first grade, I think, Transformers started to come out,
Yeah.
He-Man, G.I. Joe, and I was like...
Oh, yeah, we watched all that stuff, like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
All that stuff was big, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that stuff was good for people, too. It was, like, kind of, like, He-Man always had a good message and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, now you go back and watch it, maybe it's kind of cheesy, but, like...
At the time, yeah, right?
It was kind of good for you as a kid, like...
Yeah, right. No, yeah, it's like
Like taught you how to be a good person, how
it
to
is. It's painfully cheesy, but in a charming way.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. It was always a good lesson at the end of the show. So
I mean, that could be something you could throw in, like take off your shirt for a segment and talk about how to be nice to your friends.
right, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder how much that brainwashed us into like all of us trying to be jacked and
Oh, yeah.
be good people and shit. I mean, the good people part, that's good. So.
Yeah. Why not?
So
Why not get rid of
yeah, I feel like we used to have that in the 80s. It was like, we watched like Rocky, Rambo. Like, I mean, we watched like, remember Three Ninjas? Like all these shows, like there was something about them where I do think it was kind of good for you to like, look up to heroes. Because they usually did have like some kind of moral. Like, so it kind of taught you not to be the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe you identified with the bad guy and you wanted to be the bad guy. I don't know. That was more like pro wrestling,
Exactly, right.
Yeah, dude. So what were some of the other ones when you were a kid? Like,
Man, so yeah, those are the main staples: the He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Thundercats.
Thundercats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was big on He-Man.
I
always liked that show Robot Chicken too, because he always like brought back all that stuff. Remember that stuff?
That is endlessly entertaining.
Totally. That's what's his name? Seth. Is that Seth Green?
Green.
Yeah. No, his stuff is funny, dude. Like he's in Family Guy and everything too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So how's everything with Roundbox going?
Really good. Like any small business, like we were really close to just launching and going for it. Definitely some hiccups and barriers. So I want to say it was about 3 months of kind of had to start over in a few senses, and I've been through these things so many times. It's like wake at night, like, oh my
it's
God.
ever changing, right?
Yeah, I mean, one thing can be yanked away from you. I won't get into the nitty gritty, but like I'll just give you a few examples. Like we have this one product, we put it out there to test, just like organic sales and local trainer, and people went nuts over it.
Right.
So we spent close to a year. Making sure the design was solid, all these there's all these little details.
Yep.
And we got ready to launch on Amazon and all this marketing, and then the supply chain took a crap on us. So all of a sudden we couldn't get any of the components. So long story
short. So the product's great.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it, but you no longer have the ability to get what you need to make it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So we were able to do a ton of research. I say we, actually, my older brother Matt does a lot of this labor.
Right.
And he was scrambling, like emailing, calling people left and right.
Now remind me last time. So Matt, your brother, is the one that kind of designs everything?
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a 3-step process. I come up with the concepts, and I'm definitely not handy, but
he builds them.
Yeah, I got enough skills to kind of Frankenstein something together. Then I show it to my dad, who's an engineer.
That's right.
He makes sure it's solid and it's not going to kill anybody.
Yes.
And then my brother comes in on the last step, which is equally as important, is to design to make sure it's aesthetically pleasing, and also to understand all the components. Right. Where are we going to get them from? And this is what we learned for the third time: is if you're sourcing something, you got to have like 5 contingency plans, because if you have like one supplier and all of a sudden they're not there anymore.
You can't just depend on one.
Yeah, or arbitrarily they can quadruple your prices, and you're like, okay, our entire.
So then the whole model of like you being able to make money off it goes out the window.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a viable product. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that is so being an entrepreneur, like you said, there's probably times where you're just up at night worrying.
Yeah.
And wondering like, where is the money going to come from tomorrow? Like, because I've even noticed that with the stuff I'm doing lately. Like, it's like turning into this battle of like, man, I need to get another client, or I can't pay this bill.
Yes.
And it's like, I had no idea. Like when people say that it's like not for everybody, like it is not for everybody, bro. Like it's like a lot easier to go get a job, work for somebody else that deals with all the troubles.
Yeah.
Because, when you're like an entrepreneur, it's like every day you wake up and you're like, how can I make money today? And I have to make money today. I have bills to pay.
Yep.
And it's, if you do it right, you can be wildly successful. And I think you're on the path to doing that, and so am I. But it's not for the faint of heart, is it? No.
It's not a linear path. It's like a...
And there's a lot of nights where you're worrying, wondering, like, am I going to be able to pull this off?
Yeah, and there's we were able to, like I said, we were able to right the ship. Took about at least 90 days and we're back on track. But we secured an early investor and we're talking to all these partners. And for me, just as a person, all the things I had promised them, I'm like, am I full of shit? Like, all of a sudden, like,
you get that. So that's what do they call that? The like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it, but you're like, am I full of shit? Am I even worthy of doing this?
Everything I promised, all of a sudden, I couldn't fulfill on, or I knew I could, but it's a matter of when and how. And I was like, man, I
think that's a lot of entrepreneurship too, is playing it cool, like you have everything under control, even though inside you know that you're barely hanging on by a thread sometimes. It's like
composure.
You don't want to let everybody know that, like, you just keep it together. You seem like you know what you're doing, and then something usually happens, or you make something happen because you're good at you're good at scrapping. You're good at hustling, and you can make stuff happen, but you don't let people know that, like, some days you're just like barely hanging on,
Yeah, and I'm definitely proud of the skill that I say we're a small team, but
you guys are a team for sure.
Yeah, we've recovered from horrible situations, and we've always found a solution.
Yes,
and that does help with your confidence. Even like this last one, I was like, I really don't know the answer here. But
so does that help with your confidence in a sense of, like, you've been to these edges of where it seemed hopeless before, found a way out, so it gives you more confidence. Like, look, I know my back's against the wall. I know that I'm barely hanging on, but I've been in this situation before, and I know that I can get myself back out of it, and I know that we can start putting this in the right direction again. Yeah, and then once you do that over and over again, you get much more confident.
Yeah. It's never not stressful, but the stress is less because, you kind of have these steps in your head. Okay, what do I do? And it's honestly like blast out to your network. Like, this is what I got going on. Does anybody know anything? And sometimes it's... Right,
sometimes you'll reach out for help from your peers and everything. So remind me again, Curt, when did you guys start the business?
So my years are a little foggy, but I opened the studio in 2014. And I want to say, so it's about 2016 as we rebranded over
to Roundbox.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of look at that as our start date.
And before it was called something else. What was it?
Yeah, so it's named after my last name, Ligot Training Systems.
Right, and now then it switched to Roundbox.
Yeah.
Yep, understandable. Yeah, man, so where are you guys right now? Things are going pretty well. Huh?
Yeah, so and actually this is kind of a fun story about, and we're gonna demo some stuff here real quick.
I see that you got those with you, dude. Those are the what did you call those again?
So these are the mantis sticks.
Yeah.
So check this out. This is kind of a good story of like one of our many trials and tribulations. So our mantis sticks, typically we have 4-foot set, 6-foot set.
Yes.
We do mobility and strength work on there. So we ordered a ton. So instead of 6-foot piping, they sent us boxes and boxes of 3-foot, which I couldn't do anything with.
And that wasn't what you ordered.
Yeah, and I kept opening the boxes like
hoping the right one would be there.
Yeah, and I was like, what happened?
So how did that happen?
We sent in the order correctly, and it's just, whenever you're dealing with a bigger company, who knows?
They just fucked it up.
Someone put a comma where it should have been.
So did they reimburse you somehow? Or?
So what happened was I saw it, had a mini breakdown, and I told my brother, I'm like, I gotta leave. And it was one of those moments I took about 48 hours to kind of like calm down, and then he sent me this picture.
Like, you almost just could not accept this is not reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes.
Well, I mean, because
this is not how I planned
We've been in those situations before where I call the company and it's somewhere in their 10-page contract there's no refund, so you have like all this stuff that you can't do anything with.
So they fucked up, but yet there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Wow, man.
So 2 days later, I texted my brother. I'm like, hey, I don't know. We'll figure this out. He sent me a picture. So he redesigned our concept into one stick. So I started playing with it, and then it's like the strongest part of the system now. So
really,
yeah.
Okay, so it ended up working for you.
Yeah. Actually, let's check it out now.
Yeah.
And what's cool about this is we can do a lot seated, and that was the tough thing with the other stuff before is that I couldn't really do a ton seated. So this guy, these are the Manta sticks. We use them for mobility and joint strength. So this model is called the Grappler.
I was gonna see. I saw like a post with Mark using these.
Yeah.
Recently, yeah, you had him on these.
Yeah, we'll talk about
And
it.
happy birthday to Mark. He just
Yes.
turned like 47 or something. He looks like he's 27.
I know, yeah.
Bro does not age. So
Same haircut.
yeah. Hair still looks great.
Yeah, I think physique looks better. Than
Yeah, he's holding it together well, man.
Yeah. We're working on a lot of specific things with him. We're trying to really dive into pec development without aggravating his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's had to back off certain movements.
Well, that's the thing is he's aging and he looks, like you said, he looks 20, but
Yeah.
he's told me that without massage
Yeah.
and some other things, like he would be feeling it because he's been lifting weights for like
Yeah.
well over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like that's got to start adding up.
Just
you know?
that volume alone. And and then, what's great is, Mark and I have a personal connection, but the fact, basically what you said, like, this train just catches up with you. We train all those tissues
Yeah.
to stave off those injuries and results.
Like the connective tissues and everything. That's kind of your specialty, right?
Yes.
It's the actual joints, connective tissues, ligaments.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So actually, we'll do a few things. So let's go ahead, and I think you got enough room here.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll try a few things. And actually, yeah, you're right there. So go ahead and hold it like that for me.
Okay.
All right, so you're good with anatomy. So just think posterior, delts, upper back, and traps. So all you're going to do is I want you to pull apart and think like, I would say like a 7 out of 10 and just hold that for me. Okay, so you get that pressure out. Okay, were you feeling that?
Yeah, definitely like kind of scapula and everything.
Yeah, so what's nice about
Yeah.
that, these kind of self-regulated isometrics, we put you in the exact correct position so you can activate exactly what you want to.
Right.
All right, so this was an awesome one.
That feels super good for posture.
Yes, exactly. So whenever you strengthen the muscles in the upper back, it helps that whole spine. Okay, so you can relax.
And if I hold this long enough, like I'm starting to shake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's-
Yeah, actually.
What's really cool about that is you supply your own resistance. You're never gonna outgrow that.
If you had like neck pain or anything, I feel like that would be super good for you.
So smoke on it. So that is actually the new pad we source. So you have the nice pad. I have the generic barbell.
Right.
So check this out. So you said neck. I feel like a good salesman here. I'm like, you got a problem? I got your solution.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna put it behind your head.
Yeah.
Just kind of base your skull. And you ever do like chiropractic exercise or PT? So you're just almost trying to make a double chin and just slightly push your head back into that. It doesn't have to be too hard.
Yeah.
You just activate. So what that does is it lengthens and strengthens the suboccipital muscles. Those are the muscles at the base of your skull.
Fuck.
So, yeah, you were saying.
Actually, dude, this feels so good.
I know.
Like, seriously.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we get enough stuff back there.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it's what I love about this model. You can do a 10 seated, and we obviously have standing routines. But I may have said this on the last episode, but so many of our customers, whether they're execs or fitness guys, they keep this stuff right by their desk and they use it like.
well, and think about like somebody that actually maybe is injured or can't stand.
Yes.
This would be a good way to start. But even this, like, so there's sometimes I will get pain in the back of my neck because
Yeah.
of doing heavy seated dumbbell shoulder presses. And I feel like this right here would just get that spot right
Yeah.
out, you know?
Well, and that's what I love about it too is kind of exactly what
I
you're
definitely liked this.
Oh yeah, yeah. So actually, let's continue on that. So right when I'm here, like I said, you don't have to bolt too hard. Maybe like a 7 out of 10, but keep that pressure out and go ahead. Let that travel back as far as you can, overhead or behind your head.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet, awesome.
Ooh, that's a stretch right there.
Yeah, exactly. And then bring it down. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways we can use that. So this is actually a good test for shoulder mobility, shoulder health. Is like, can I keep that upper back activated while I bring my arms overhead behind the head?
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, like I said, this is self-regulated resistance. So you're never going to run out of resistance. So if we want to take it to a mobility level, totally fine. You want to get crazy with it and push hard, we can actually get into the hypertrophy.
Yeah, for real. You could
Yeah.
actually build your shoulders and stuff doing that probably.
Yeah,
Like
and
rear
that's-
delts and
That's part of what we're doing with Mark.
especially that scapula stuff too. I feel like people get weak back there and
Yes.
even like people will do the hangs and kind of pull back
Yeah.
to try to get that, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's like, that's a weak spot, especially people that sit at a desk all the time.
Exactly.
You know, there's a postural thing of like, you know, retracting your scapula back and down. And, you know,
Yes.
we're always doing it with lifting and
Yeah.
stuff. But when you're sitting at a desk, you end up getting all like rolled over like that, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so what we're doing with Mark is he's having some trouble with some heavy pressing movements.
Yes.
So he was smart about it, and I think he was working with a trainer and a chiropractor. They had him limit his range and just kind of go more high volume.
Right.
So what we're going to do on our end is we're going to get him back to his deep ranges, but with stuff like this.
Yep.
So he can self-modulate how hard he's pushing.
Okay.
So he can get really deep into the chest and the shoulder and still work on development and hypertrophy, but like in a very safe, gradual way.
So even that little thing I just did now, like, made me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I'm becoming a believer in the whole energy universe thing, because we solidified this maybe 2 months ago, and we've just been running with it. My mom had a bad case of like vertigo, and it's hard for her to walk around now.
Right.
And she was getting really bummed. She's like, I'm not active at all. So I went over there yesterday. We did an entire workout, her just sitting in a chair.
Now, what is vertigo exactly again?
You know,
just for the dummies like me that don't know.
Yeah, so it's
like I've heard that a million times. I know it's something to do with balance and everything.
Exactly. So, I don't know the exact medical definition, but her symptoms are it's almost like a random loss of equilibrium. So you'll be walking, all of a sudden you're like, boom. And
that's what I thought. So that's like a thing you can get if you pop an eardrum, right?
Yeah. So there can be a lot of causes. Could be vestibular, something deep within the ear. And it could be postural too. Whenever people have super tight shoulders, it'll lock up all the muscles, like I was talking about in the base of the skull.
Right.
That jacks your equilibrium too. And it's a combination of things, because you start losing the ability to like articulate your neck.
So you get Batman head.
Yeah, exactly. Keaton Batman.
Keaton Batman. Did you see that commercial, bro?
I did.
So like we're watching the Super Bowl, and I just caught the end of it, and I freaked out.
Yeah.
Because like I'm the biggest fan of like the '89 and 1992 Batman, and when I saw Michael Keaton back, and like they have that thing, he's like, he's like, I'm Batman. He says it just in that way.
Hell yeah.
And so I had to so immediately I looked it up on Instagram, and I like posted. I'm like, oh my God, he's back. I even like screenshot it so I could, because it was such a brief clip. You had to like, but so bro, I'm freaking stoked for that.
Heck yeah. No, I really like, DC's had their misses, but when they hit, they hit. So
I feel like this might be one of their bigger ones.
Yeah.
Because I'm big into that Robert Pattinson Batman too.
Yeah.
I loved it, but like I am so stoked to see Michael Keaton as Batman again.
Yeah, so much nostalgia.
Because you're like that same age.
Oh, yeah,
dude. It's like it's freaking sick. But yeah, he always had the thing.
I know.
Could, turn his head. So, but that's But no, I feel like even the thing I just did. Yeah, that's really that back of the neck.
Yeah.
Like that's always, and I think it's so much for, like I said, we're on our phones all day like this. Anything where you're like opening yourself up posturally, it's like so much. It's so good for you.
Yeah, I always think about things in ratios, and like how much throughout the day are we forward.
Yeah.
So like we got to do as much as we can in our training or corrective stuff to offset that. And it doesn't have to be minute for minute, because that's impossible. But
everything's in front of us, dude.
Yeah.
We're never doing like stuff like opening up.
Exactly.
I was even telling people that I used to watch that Elliot Hulse. I don't know if you remember him. Like, he was a big YouTube guy.
Oh yeah.
Now he's gotten really into like group like really deep into the like, I don't know, trying to like men groups and like.
Yeah.
Men are pussies nowadays. We need to like, and I get it. It's just he's making money or whatever. But he used to have some interesting stuff with like biomechanics and stuff where he would like had this stool where he would like set like it had like a foam roller on it, and he would like lay back across it, and it would open you up. And he would even talk about, and I've said that on here once before, about like, even if you're kind of depressed, like, so depression is a thing where you're like this and you're closed off and you're like this. And so he'd even be like, even if you feel depressed, one of the best things you can do is kind of like get up, stretch yourself like this, open yourself up, because it's the opposite of depression is being open. Yeah. And he would just breathe like that, like wide open. And some of the stuff you're doing, like even that thing, that's like has that idea of like opening yourself up, and we don't do enough of that.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think our necks and backs take the brunt of that.
Yeah. And that's always where my mind's at. I mean, we obviously can do whatever muscle, like we have a whole deltoid routine, bicep, but my heart and my idea behind this is strengthening those neglected areas that everybody needs.
Yeah.
Like that's really where we want to shine. And
I mean, I feel like a lot of people on computers all day could really benefit from what we just did.
Yeah, we're in talks of talking to a few offices of doing like a corporate fitness thing where we come in and
I should. I have a buddy that's one of my best friends, Mickey Conan,
Yeah.
and he is a.
Why do you guys all have cool names?
Yeah, Mickey Conan, Mickey Free, Mickey Conan. Yeah, he's the man, dude. No, and he works in mortgage. He was working at Wells Fargo for a long time. I think he got a government job doing something now or a contract, but still doing the same thing. And he's big into like. He was working from home a lot, and so he got like the raising desk. So he'd be like, he could sit, and he would always sit on a ball, because that's ergonomic. So you're on the, like they do in offices. So he would do everything to combat all that. Because they say sitting jobs are like the new smoking. Like sitting is the new smoking. So like he would sit on, he'd sit on this ergonomic ball, and then he also had a standing desk, so he could hit a button, and his desk would raise up, and then he could stand. But then he added to that, he got this little fucking treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, the treadmill just sits on the floor. It doesn't have a big front that you hold on to. It's just on the floor. So he can have his desk there standing, and he can be walking.
Love it.
So he's a guy, like, I would love to get something like this and send it to him. So he could, like, have it with him.
Yeah.
Because he's really big into, like, trying to make... Okay, so I got this good job.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm making a lot of money, but I know that it's bad for my health.
Yes.
What can I do... To do everything in my power to make it not affect my health negatively. So I feel like anybody with office jobs, this kind of stuff, like you said, if they have it sitting next to them all day, you do a couple sets, bam.
It was interesting, because we talked to probably like 10 or 12 companies, and what they said is like we see the offerings, like because like a lot of companies will come and do a boot camp or yoga, and they're like, I like it, but like we need something. I like something we can do all day or something.
Right.
And I was
while you're working.
Yeah. So like by the desk, and they've been calling them micro workouts, which I really like.
Yeah.
It's just like it just integrates it into your workspace already, and so it's not like I gotta go change, I gotta go work out, I gotta come back. It's work on your joint strength, work on your posture. You can do it throughout the day. And because what we're finding, especially with this stuff in our method, is it's not so much. I need 2 hours this a day. It's like sometimes if you just do a handful of sets throughout the day, it carries through.
Just like every however long, you do a few sets, and it's like it adds up throughout the day.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like you said, you're just doing it all day instead of like, okay, I got to go change into my yoga clothes. Yeah, it makes sense, man. So that's probably a big market for you, actually.
Yeah, it was one of those things that just through organic conversations, we realized like there's an opportunity and a need there. So.
I feel like a lot of your business could be like fixing people with office jobs.
Yeah.
Because that's like such a big thing, especially around here in this area, man. Like everybody works at Microsoft or one of the big companies like that. And with all the science that's showing that like, hey, this is like not good for your health.
Yeah.
Like, anything you can do to make it better.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So that's dope. Yeah. This is cool, man.
Yeah. Let me show you one more thing.
Yeah.
On these guys. So I think, let's see if you have enough ceiling height. So we can just go one direction for you. So hold here. And then, so you're going to push on this arm. So your right arm's you're going to push this way. And just kind of let this happen in side bends as far as you can while you're pushing on that side.
Okay.
And so we get super deep into the obliques and low back and even like your intercostals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
So then you can do the other side.
Yeah, and what's nice about this is the more we've been playing around with this is pretty much everything on the upper body, including the core and low back, we can hit with someone who's seated.
Yeah.
So office job, someone's wheelchair bound. Like I said, my mom, she had vertigo, so we were able to,
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
That's very sick.
And
so that's the new Mantis stick.
Yeah, and that pad there is something my brother sourced just recently. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah, so this is just a standard barbell pad, so just kind of feel that in comparison.
Well, that's not what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, this thing is like supple.
I know,
just
right?
like nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna get our logo on that and everything. And that was part of the hold up. Like we sourced that.
Well, the design, like you said, he works on having aesthetic designs. This is just very aesthetic.
Yeah, I love it the way it turned out.
I mean, speaking of Batman, that looks like one of like the bat suit or something.
What's funny is like you and I are the same mind. I'm always thinking superheroes and whatnot. And this looks
definitely. Even your like the promo pic I used for you, like kind of like a superhero. I was like, where did you? That is so dope. Like the lighting and everything, man.
Yeah, our Brandon guy, Dave Andressen. Shout out to you, Dave. If you watch this, he was so good with the visuals, and he knew me inside and out. He knows I'm. 13-year-old, and he's like,
oh, totally,
he's like, dude, stand like a ninja. or so something.
No, it looked like it was. That's a cool picture, dude.
So, I belong to these workout groups online. It's mostly like men, like late 30s and up. So we're all kind of that same generation. They all, because when I've been demoing these online, they keep calling me the fifth brother, the fifth Ninja Turtle.
Yes.
So
the fifth Ninja Turtle.
I went to the craft store. I'm gonna make some little ninja masks, and I think we're gonna roll with some of those marketing videos.
Dude, oh man, bring the turtles back into it, man.
Yeah, heck yeah.
That's another thing. I think they're gonna do another Ninja Turtle movie, but
they better.
I don't know if it's gonna be animated. I can't remember.
I
don't know if you can beat those early 90s ones, though.
No. Well, who knows, man? The stuff they've been doing lately, like every once in a while, they're just knocking it out of the park. So
there's been some cool movies, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm mostly excited about that Flash movie.
Yeah.
But
I know, right?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, that's dope. So what other stuff do you guys have in the works?
The Manta Sticks are our main push right now. We have the 3 different sizes.
Yeah.
So
you still have the 6-foot ones too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're still, and what's nice about these is like, because before if I brought in the 6 and 4, like, I wouldn't have been able to demo.
We couldn't have done any of that.
Yeah.
And like a lot less seated stuff too, probably. So that's where this turned into a really good thing.
Yeah.
So like that's why you're starting to believe in like the power of the universe looking out for you and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's not always the case, but sometimes like, your worst scenarios and your mistakes, like if you're able to recoup and build off those, it's just so powerful.
I think so too, man. I feel like a lot of times where you think something is going horribly wrong, it turns out to be like a blessing.
Yeah.
And it's like then something else happens and you're like, oh, that's why that was supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful when that happens.
It is. And it's empowering too. And, part of it, I'm pretty proud of my skill base, but I've past couple of years I've really learned to let go and just ask for help. And just like anybody who knows anything, just call me, talk to me.
Now, you said that was kind of an issue for you in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was more like the ego was getting in the way, right?
Yeah, well, it's like, when I set out, when I realized I want to make a business out of this, a brand out of this, it's like, I want to be self-made. I want to be...
Yeah.
And, you can still be self-made while asking for help, but it was like, it was a little bit of a pride
I think
thing.
it's a lesson, even me too, like the idea of asking for help, because you're just like... Yeah, it's pride. You're like, I'm going to do this myself.
Yeah.
I've always, because you're an ambitious guy.
Yeah.
If you're starting a company, if you're taking a chance of becoming an entrepreneur, it already means you're an ambitious person. Yeah. And it can be really hard to admit that you need help. Mm-hmm. And it can be hard to admit, like, when you made a mistake. Yeah. But I think, like, that becomes, like, a superpower of admitting when you did make a mistake or being able to, because it kind of takes the power away from anybody. If you kind of, like, make a mistake but you won't, fess up to it.
Yeah.
It kind of puts you in a spot where somebody can like poke holes in your character. Know, it's like if you just right away take that away from them. Look, hey, I made a mistake, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
The minute you say it, it's like it takes all the firepower out because you're already admitting, hey, I made a mistake, but let's get through this.
Exactly.
Find a way on to the next thing, and
and what I've always surprised by, or thankful for, I should say, is whenever I broadcast, like, hey, I need help, like, so many people come out of the woodwork. And, like, sometimes someone I've never talked to, but, the way social media is a friend of a friend.
Right.
It's like, hey, dude, I know about that. Do you want to jump on a call? And it's like, oh, dude. Like,
I know, that's like networking.
It's huge.
That's like Mark's good at that. That's how I met you. It's like, it is weird in this industry. It's like, it's all networking. And I feel like if you can put your ego aside, for sure, you can, like, make this... I feel like you can make this a world where like everybody kind of benefits each other and you're all helping each other because there's like not a famine mentality. Like there's enough, everybody can be successful. You know, if you think like that, then it's like, it just, I don't know, it just opens up a whole different world. Like, I mean, I feel like we're all competitive in a sense.
Yeah.
But if you start like believing, well, if I help him, he can help me and we can all, there's enough for us all to be successful. I don't just have to be at the top of the mountain by myself anymore. Especially like with social media now and how we can like, make money online. There's like an endless, it's not like we're just like trying to beat out the marketplace in this one little area. Exactly. It's like you got this whole online world and there's enough room for everybody to be successful, sell what they're selling, capitalize on what they want to capitalize on. And you don't have to try to like, make other people look bad to do it. You can just all help each other, right? Yeah. I think that's how it is in fitness industry, And I think that's where like you got to be careful with that too, because I think dudes get in fights with that shit around here, right? Like trying to like steal each other's like clients and like,
Yeah.
you know, you got to be careful. You don't want to have a reputation like that, right?
Yeah, it's just very interesting, and you know, I'm definitely speaking about the fitness, and I'm sure it's other industries too. And I was telling my mom, I was over there today training with her with those, and she's like, "Well, how does it work?" I'm like, "I know some awesome people, like you're part of my circle," and like,
Yeah.
I said, you know, about 70%. It's a bunch of grown men acting like teenage girls.
That's the worst,
So you
dude.
just gotta navigate.
So
that.
you gotta be careful with that shit, right?
Oh, yeah. And also too is and maybe not that bad, but what I do is a little different than what a lot of people are taught. So I have to be very careful how I present it to certain people, in the sense that like I have to understand their craft and their language and show them how it fits into that paradigm, instead of trying to pull them away from that or talk about things they won't even be interested in or semi-offended by. So just like I gotta keep it.
Oh yeah. Like some people might not be into what you're doing or whatever, but it kind of can fit into any sport, I feel like. So how's it helping your mom? Is she feeling pretty good?
Yeah, you know, it was really good. You know, I'm 47, so you know, I think everybody around my age who parents are still around is, you know, start having the aging parents, and like, all right, we got to really take care of them.
Like they're still young, but they're getting old.
Yeah. And it always seems to happen overnight. Like, you know, not being able to walk around without a fear of falling down is
that is weird, because like your parents, you put them on this pedestal, and at least me, like, and then you start seeing them like age a little bit, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? You know, like.
So it's good. We have a full team. Everybody's going there, feeding her, making sure she's taking her medicine. But the fact that we were able to get her muscles just active while she's seated, because I had given her like the other Manta Stick, and she does a little workout. She's like, I'm scared to stand up even with those. And so it was like the fact I could give her something to get her core and low back activated, and you know, nothing crazy or intense, but just kind of turning all our postural muscles on. Yeah.
Well, that's what goes as you age, right? Like sarcopenia. And so, like, if you can even give people something like this small that, like, they can do seated, I feel like, so if you can fight sarcopenia or whatever, like, that's like the muscle degradation as you age, like, even in a sense of, like you said, postural muscles and stuff, and, like, help people, even in, like, doing something like that every day, seated, could really help somebody aging, like, avoid pain and avoid like letting certain muscles go before they really need to, you know.
Exactly.
And almost like keep them from aging too fast.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly. And it was just interesting. I was just reading a few studies, and I think it was on one of the bigger podcasts lately. But it's like muscle mass goes, but it's the slowest to go.
Yeah.
Strength is the second fastest, and power is the absolute thing that deteriorates the fastest.
So power is the fastest.
Yeah. So you wanna. I mean, this. Muscle mass can happen while you work on these, but start thinking about strength and power. And you know, it's funny because those terms get a little intimidating, but it's all relative in the sense, because like even this, if you know, my mom's, you know, she's 77, if she's pushing hard, that's her version of strength.
Yes. So
it doesn't have to be, I don't have to load her up with weights. It's a relative intensity to your ability.
Well, I was thinking about that too, like as we get older, like, you know, like even if I'm lifting all the time, like I was kind of trying to throw in some like box jumps and stuff like that, because I realized that like as I'm getting older, like I might be lifting and everything, but if I'm not doing these like fast twitch muscle things, that stuff goes.
It does.
Like it's gone. So if you're not going to do hill sprints, box jumps, some explosive stuff to keep some of that fast twitch stuff around, like that's going to go away. And then like, I mean, what good is it being able to like squat heavy or do this heavy, and then like you can't even like run up some stairs, you know? Like,
and the beautiful thing about strength and power, like the explosive stuff you were talking about, you don't have to go crazy on the volume. You don't have to do it till you die. You just have to do it on a regular basis. So like, let's say, and I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass, but let's say it's a 24-inch box jump. Just do sets of 5 reps. That's all you need to do is to develop and keep that.
No, and I think that's good. I feel like as bodybuilders, we forget some of that stuff sometimes, and it's like, you know, I mean, probably should be holding on to some of that as we age, because that's going to help fight aging.
Exactly.
Because everything when you get me and your age, dude, it's like you gotta like do stuff to hang on to it, because it is that old thing of like, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, and it's a cheesy saying, but it's like really true. And you see guys, people, athletes, you know, even like Tom Brady just retiring. Look how good he stayed into his late 40s, man. Like, I mean, it's because he never quit. He never quit doing what he was doing, you know? Like, it's when you give up and quit on stuff. that's when it goes away. But if you keep doing it, you can maintain stuff. Like, you'd be surprised into your late, even 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Like, there's some 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds doing crazy good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I always get blown away when you see those videos of, like, older people lifting and stuff. And you're like, good for them.
Yeah, it's just such a good message that, it doesn't have to end at a certain age,
Yeah, you can keep going. It's like how much you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah. And, I'm such a fan of just like what you're talking about, like kind of opening up in these big ranges. And then power can be built into those kind of patterns of, like our core blades, or it could be a medicine ball throw. If I'm doing like a throw that way and I'm ending in those big positions, we can work on all that stuff while you're maintaining your power, that's where I like.
Right. So that's what your system kind of does, right? It's not just like, that's where bodybuilding kind of falls short on. It's neglecting some of those type of things. Yeah,
and it's pretty cool because the bodybuilders I talk to are very, what's the word? They have a very broad lens. They definitely love their sport, but they know there's other things.
That are important.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's always an even a conversation, at least with the bodybuilders I know, and just viewing your bodybuilding as a sport, and then you have to do things around that sport to support that.
To support it, yes, I like that. So other things to keep your health, your body, your mobility. That's like bodybuilders doing yoga, bodybuilders doing anything else to kind of like, it all adds to it, mobility work, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. No, it's
and I feel like that's your system could like definitely be one of those things, right?
Yeah, it's I probably mentioned this last time, but I was surprised that bodybuilding was such an avenue for us because different fighters and my athletes, it was like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, so the fighters was like one of the first things you did, right? Yeah. And how's that going?
I haven't been back in touch with the fighting community, but now, as soon as my head's above water in about 3 months, I want to start doing fight camps again.
Yeah.
That's because it was so fun for me, and it's one of the, as a strength and conditioning guy, it's one of the hardest puzzles to solve. So it's like, it's never, you can never phone that in. It's like, in that fight camp, it's, if you're lucky if you get 8 weeks with these guys, and the whole parameters can change within those 8 weeks. Like, there could be an injury, they're going to have to change styles.
Okay.
They could break their hand, and now he can't do anything with his hand, even in our workouts.
Oh, damn.
So it's like, he's like, bah, bah, bah.
But then they still got to, like, do the fight camp, even though the hand's broken.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it's,
damn, dude.
It's stressful, but I love it. It's one of those things I kind of thrive in.
That's good, man. I saw that John Jones is fighting again.
Yeah,
so
I'm so excited to see that.
Are you gonna go watch that?
I was thinking because I know like places like Buffalo Wild Wings plays it.
They show it,
and then I forgot about this because I used to do it way back in the day. Is theaters play it?
Really?
You ever been to a fight in a theater? Because
no, but
sometimes they'll do it on an IMAX screen. It is insane.
They really do that?
Yeah.
Okay, because like so March 4th, that's when that fight is. I have Becky. No, I don't. I forgot her last name. Shit.
I'm worse than names.
It doesn't matter. It's Becky. I know her. She's a Muay Thai coach.
Oh, no way.
And she has her one of her students who has a Muay Thai fight coming up named Kim Bao. And I feel bad that I forgot. Her name's Becky with the good hair on Instagram. Shit, sweet. Becky, I forgot your last name. My bad. But she's going to be coming on here March 4th to do the podcast with her student, Kim Bao. So we're going to have the podcast from like 5 to 7. And then that's the same night as the John Jones fight. So, bro, if you're like out and about and you want to go find a place, like I got that day off from the bar, and so I'm gonna be going to watch that fight somewhere.
Dude,
so we're gonna have a Muay Thai centered podcast followed by the John Jones fight.
I love it.
It's gonna be epic. Yeah.
Where's her our fighter gonna fight her?
I guess
is it local?
Yeah, it's going to be local, and they'll be coming on here to promote it, so I'll have all the details then. She used to train out of T3MA, so that's in Bellevue, and I have some other friends who train out of there. But Becky went to a different gym, so that's what we're going to catch up with her and see. Sweet. I'm not sure what the new gym is, but she's been training Muay Thai for quite a while.
Beautiful.
That's going to be a good episode to catch up with her. Yeah. She's a pretty badass lady. And we'll get to all the info on her new gym, her student, the fight she has coming up, where you can watch it.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the night we'll go fucking either Buffalo Wild Wings, like Tony's Bar,
wherever.
Or if you got these theaters, dude, like watching it in a theater would be sick.
Yeah, it was the last one I saw. Maybe one of the last ones I saw there was Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
I saw it in IMAX, and
dude, UFC was huge then.
Yeah,
I feel like it's still big now though. Yeah.
And it was such a cool thing because it was weird because there was all fight fans, but it was almost like the Japanese crowd where they were real quiet until something happens.
Dude, you know about that?
Oh, dude, I was
so that's like pro wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how it is with Japanese crowds with pro wrestling too. And so I guess like sometimes guys who are pro wrestlers would go to Japan. They'd get their first like tour over in Japan, which pays like great money, you know, or at least it used to for pro wrestlers. So it'd be a big break for them sometimes.
Yeah.
And they've been working in the States, and they go over, and all of a sudden, like, they do a huge move, and there's silence from the crowd, and they're like, did I fuck up? What's going on? This always works. This always gets the crowd going, you know, and then all of a sudden, they'd be like, ooh.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's almost like...
They do a quiet, like, ooh.
And it's almost like synchronized, right? Yeah. Everybody at the same time.
They wait till the right time, and they're like, oh. And it's weird. It's like they do this, like, golf clap almost. Yeah. And it's not that they don't appreciate the match. Actually, they're huge in pro wrestling. They just
like
have a different way of, which is so weird.
Yeah, and that was the truth about the theater because I think, because when you're a theater, you're kind of accustomed to not talking.
Yeah.
So you have all these like fight fans, and usually if you're in sports, rather crazy loud, it's like super quiet. And then, you know, when they got excited, they get excited, but it was like...
Yeah, but watching fights in a theater, if it was quiet, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on?
It's crazy.
Like, usually, like you said, you're at a bar, it's while people are drinking, like,
exactly.
They're drinking mixed drinks, there's people trying to get laid, there's people fighting.
And there's always 10 guys around the top of my head be like, GSP! Like,
oh, dude, there's always, like you said, there's 10 guys that have, like, Affliction shirts on and Ed Hardy, and that used to be me. I used to love wearing that shit.
Bring it back, Nicky.
I know, we were like, we were talking about, so my other friend, Jonathan, who's been on here, and he's, like, into the paranormal stuff.
Oh, sweet. I love that stuff.
So we were talking about, you remember Zach Baggins?
Which one is he?
So that's, Ghost Adventures.
Yes.
And so, like, Ghost Adventures became popular during that time when it was, like, Affliction shirts, Ed Hardy, and it was, like, you know, like...
What a combo. I love it.
Yeah, so, like... He looked like a gym bro, so that was always like the joke. Like he'd always be like, "Come on, you ghost pussy, let's go, let's go. If you're in here, let's fucking go. What's your fucking bench?" You know, because he'd always be rocking like Affliction, Ed Hardy. He'd have like the hat pulled down like the way that I wear it, like super low. And
that's fantastic.
He's kind of like a bro, you know. And that was like the style. So like I was talking with Jonathan. We were trying to go find like a haunted place to go to.
Oh yeah.
Because we'd like to go check out a haunted place, see what the vibes are like. Because you know me, like I don't really believe in it, but I'm open to it. Like I'm cool with people. Like I don't know what I believe is real. How do I know if it's real or not? You know, like but I'm willing to like kind of go to one of these places and see what it's like, see what the vibe's like, see if we get scared, see if we see something, hear something. And he's into this. He's always researching, reading books on it. He knows all the stuff. And we thought we'll document it, and then we'll have a podcast afterwards talking about the experience.
Sweet.
You know, but we're like, and my other buddy Sam, he was like, should we all wear like Affliction shirts and just pull a fucking straight up Zach Baggins? I'm like, bro, I think I threw all mine away, but we gotta bring them back, bro. Bring that shit back. But yeah, we used to always rock like the Affliction, like Randy Couture shirts and shit. I think I still have some button up like Randy Couture type Affliction shirts. But yeah, that shit was dope, man. Mm-hmm. That during that, like you said, that Lesnar Velasquez, like that era. What was that, like 2010-ish, 11?
It must have been. It was before my daughter was around, and I think it was just last minute. Because I would either go to a sports bar, and then like when my wife and I first started dating, she would go with me, and after a while, she's like, "Can I not go?" I'm like,
she's like, you know, honey, you just go. But yeah, at first you're like trying to do shit together, and then you trust each other. Now it's like, honey, you go ahead and just do that thing yourself.
And then it kind of got to the age it was like it would just. I mean, I'll still go now, but it's like it's not my choice. Where
you're busy with other shit. You're kind of doing your own thing.
And then I can't remember. So random, I saw a commercial. I'm like, wait, I can go to the theater and one. So I saw it in IMAX, and the other cool thing about it, the picture's huge and
clear.
You can see like their pores. Like it was a trip.
4K high def.
Yeah.
Like.
And then I've never been to that caliber of a fight that live that close.
Yeah.
But like you could hear that wet like. And it was shit! It was a trip.
Like you can hear the flesh pounding.
Like whenever you ever see a fight in person and you hear that, it's like
it's
so different.
Well, even when we used to do pro wrestling, dude, if we were like when we were like in front of the crowd, so you know pro wrestling is like a work, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm in the ring and I'm punching my dude, like I'm trying not to hit him. Yeah. Really, it's kind of there's an art to punching where it looks real, but it's. But like if you were down in front of the crowd, so they paid money and they already all think it's fake anyway.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, if we're not in the ring and it spills out into the crowd, around the outside of the ring, if I go to punch my friend and we're outside in front of the crowd, like I'm going to punch him for real.
God.
Because I want them to like basically be like, I thought this shit was fake. I just literally saw him. And, we were kind of okay with that. Like make it a little stiff if we're in front of people, because the last thing you want to do is have it be like this much
especially
air.
when you're that close, right?
Yeah. You don't want to give them anything that because people already pick it apart. So you kind of want to fuck with them. Like, hey, like I just saw that guy actually punch that other guy.
So I've always wanted to ask pro wrestlers this question. Something like that. Do you guys like talk about that ahead of time?
Yeah, like it'd be like something like if I was wrestling my boy James Jeffries, who me and him would ride down the road together a lot. So like a lot of times you're driving 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes. To a different town, so you have a lot of time to talk about your thoughts on the wrestling business, and so you end up talking about the way that you view it and like your ideas about it and kind of like your methods, like what you think, and maybe you pick apart other people, like I don't like how so and so does that, like what I think is this, you got to do this. You're talking about the psychology of matches, what your beliefs are, and me and him always saw pretty eye to eye with it. We liked a lot of the really old school stuff. We liked more believable stuff, less phony looking stuff, more hard hitting stuff. So we would talk about that kind of stuff. So like
you get a feel for it.
We would know that like, hey, if we're down in front of the crowd, I know James wants me to lay it in.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want the crowd to pick up on this, and I would want him to do the same. And so we would kind of like know like how to, if it's somebody you've never worked before, and you don't want to piss them off, like you might be a little lighter on them, but you also got to protect the wrestling business in a sense. Like you don't want people picking it apart.
Like have you ever made the wrong call? And be like,
I think so. Yeah.
I wonder about
that. I mean, I've definitely. I remember wrestling this dude one time, and I was like on a diet trying to get really lean. So I was kind of, like even now, like I'm cutting. So like, you start cutting, you get like less and less energy, So like I remember I was probably too lean and not eating enough, and like. I went to this other place, and it was like in Minnesota. So I was out of Iowa, and this guy didn't know me. I was kind of a bigger guy, so he probably was already thinking like, I'm gonna fucking show this dude. And he took some liberties with me. Like he just kind of beat me the fuck up, and I was like really, and it was kind of like, man, I wish I really would have fucking fought back a little more. Like if he was fucking with me like that, but I was like trying to be professional about it, and he was just trying to like prove himself, I guess. But I was kind of like, when he went into business for himself like that, I should have probably done the same thing. But like to me, it was always like you want to be professional. Or there was also times where like there was this one really really big dude who's like really fucking big. Like he just was, bigger than me. Like just and there was a match I had. He was supposed to be the bad guy, and this was one time where I made the right call. Where like. But even though he was really big, sometimes he would be a little timid with like showing aggression because he was a really nice guy, in real life. And so I remember one time I just felt like he wasn't like laying stuff in, and I kind of wanted him to get it. So I remember I was like on my knees, and I punched him in the gut, and I punched him, and I stood up, and I slapped him as hard as I could across the face. And I was like, now fucking lay it in. And then it like kind of got him pissed off. And he like came and clotheslined me and stuff.
You're
and
like,
then, and I was like, that's what I want from you. You're supposed to be the bad guy. Like I was trying to get aggression out of him. And I think when I slapped him, and it wasn't like a slap where I would like actually hurt him, but it was enough to show him like, dude, wake up. This is like fucking pro wrestling. You need to lay this shit in. And I felt like then after that, he like really stepped it into a different gear. I don't know. So there's times where you make like... audibles and you pull the you do the right thing, and it's kind of like you with business. You make right moves, wrong moves, and you kind of get like an overall idea of like you get better and better at making the right moves more often. But you got to make a lot of mistakes to do that. So but I don't know, like there's something about seeing stuff up close and personal where I feel like watching MMA in a theater like that
with the sound.
With great sound, great video quality and shit.
I'm gonna get the just the impact of every strike. You're like, oh my god,
man.
Especially the guys at that level. You're like,
what was cool? I was so I don't know if you're like a Metallica fan. They did that. So back in 1999, I don't know if you remember, they did Metallica, Symphony of Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
It was called S&M. And it was like super popular. You know, they even had a couple radio hits from it. I think one of them was No Leaf Clover was like a big hit from that.
Yeah.
But so then 20 years later, they did it again with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. So like this is Metallica, like 2019.
Yeah.
So 20 years from the original one, which was 1999. So in 2019, they did S&M 2. So they redid it again with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. So it's like Metallica live, but with everything scored with a symphony behind every song, every note of every song.
Yeah.
And they released it, and I went and watched it in theaters.
Yeah.
And so same thing, dude. It was like high def.
Yeah.
You know, and there the fans were acting like it was a concert. Like people were standing, cheering.
Yeah.
It was like being, and I remember like there was one song where James Hetfield played with so they did The Unforgiven 3 is the song.
Yeah.
And it was it's a great song, but when they did it with the symphony, they actually had the band drop out, and it was just symphony music and James singing.
That's pretty dope.
And that to me was like the dopest moment because he gets like so emotional in one spot, and he's like almost crying while he's singing it.
Yeah.
And it was like a real moment. But I think you can't appreciate that if you're not watching it. Like the closest thing I think to being there in person, which actually my friend Steve Stone and his wife Mimi, they went and saw it live.
Yeah.
Like and so did a couple of our customers from the bar.
Yeah.
They went to, I think, or no, they went to the 40th anniversary and saw it live. But my friends went. So I think the closest thing, like you said, like UFC, seeing it in a theater, bro. Like, now, did you see the new Avatar yet?
Yes.
How was that?
So, funny story behind that is like, I think what happened, like, I went out with the family and like I wanted to go to this like whiskey bar barbecue place, and then like my daughter got tired, my wife got tired, so the next day, because I usually wait for the movies to come at home,
right? And
I threw a little man fit. I was like, all right, you guys let me down yesterday. I'm like, I'm gonna go to Avatar. Don't call me or text me for 4 hours.
So you went by yourself?
Yeah, they're like, go for it,
dude. That's a real man right there. They always say like if you can go to a movie or out to eat by yourself, no one can fuck with you ever. Exactly. Seriously, if you got enough confidence, and I can do that. I remember when I first moved here, I had no friends. I didn't know anybody. And I would just like go to the movies because I was bored. So I'd just like go to a movie by myself. And I'm like, that's real confidence, bro. You can like go to the movie yourself.
You get used to it.
But I was meaning to see it. How was it?
You know, I loved it. So, and I think it's fair criticism. It's a very basic story.
Yeah.
But I like the visuals. It's like you're watching a 4-hour National Geographic movie.
Yeah.
And
I think people have been negatively talking it up, but it's like, are you guys just like that desensitized from social media? You can't enjoy something anymore?
Yeah, well, and then like what major movie doesn't have a plot you haven't seen before? It's very rare.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is like, how long have they been making movies since what, like the 20s? Or like, I'm sorry, but like it's really hard to have anything original at this point.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm a big like I love world building and creature design.
Yeah.
Like you can tell like biologists figured out what these animals should look like, how they should move.
It's a visually
how they should fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope doesn't spoil too much, but they have an underwater jiu-jitsu scene. So it's like,
dude,
a team of people figured out how you would do jiu-jitsu
underwater. So I'm really stoked to see it. I'm not a hater.
You gotta go to theaters at least.
I feel like there's this weird thing where everybody is a hater now. Because it's like, I feel like we've kind of seen everything, so it's like, it's like, what do you guys want? Like,
well, and then the other thing too is like you're in the same position, like you've done a lot to get this off the ground. It's like for me, it's like as a creator, it's like you don't understand what goes on behind the scenes,
right?
And like, and granted, I'm not a movie guy, but I'm thinking of all the nuances. Like I said, like they hired a team. How would a whale fight a robot? A team figured that out, like with physics and engineering.
Oh yeah, you're like you realize what goes on behind the scenes. There's so much more to it, man.
It was so cool.
But yeah, I get it because I mean I feel like we've seen so many like Marvel movies. I get people are kind of getting sick of superhero stuff, and like I understand we've kind of seen it. We've seen it. And then sometimes I get it too. Like it seems like they only will greenlight things if they're like sure that it's going to make a shit ton of money. So it's like. Maybe it's getting more rare to see something kind of like dangerous that where they maybe like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but let's take a chance on it. We do need to get more of that again.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like sometimes I feel like it's just the people are just like unwilling to enjoy things because they're like they want to hate it before they even give it a chance, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like there's a lot of cool. I feel like that Flash movie is probably the first time I've been super excited for a superhero movie in a long time now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the nostalgia or what, but because I was kind of getting superhero movied out too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many coming out.
Because I was thinking that too with like Black Adam. Like, why wasn't that a bigger hit?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was awesome, and I was stoked to see The Rock, but like, I don't know. I guess it didn't really have the impact I thought it would.
Yeah.
But so I kind of get it. We're just maybe getting overstimulated with superheroes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, but
I still enjoy them. Like I even liked Black Adam. I thought it was good.
Yeah, you know how I felt about that. I thought, story, some of it could have been done better, but the action scenes are dope.
I thought so too. Like maybe it was just the story.
Just seeing him throwing dudes around, I was like, I would watch.
I mean, he looked awesome in that movie. Yeah, maybe it was just the story. So it's just sometimes it comes down to writing, right?
Yeah, and it's always interesting to me because they got crazy resources, like.
Right. So that is why I think sometimes that puts people in that state of being a little, pissed off with movies because like. They do have all these resources, and sometimes you still see all this like really lazy shit coming out. And you're like, even like the Jurassic World Dominion, I really loved it, but also it seemed kind of lazy at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like, that could have been better, but it was dope to see like the OG cast in that movie and shit. Like they had all the old school people from Jurassic Park, dude. Like. But it was kind of like, man, it still could have been better somehow, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely see Avatar in theaters if you can.
But that one I feel like is a hit. I think it's a win.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I've heard that Top Gun I still need to see. I've heard that was a win.
Yeah.
And
that's good to see because it's...
For me, I want to see that Pale Blue Eye, that new Christian Bale movie. I guess that... Did you see it?
No, but I watch anything he does. Like...
Same, and I guess it's an Edgar Allan Poe movie.
Oh, shit.
So it's kind of like a sleuth or like a detective, and then a young Edgar Allan Poe is helping him out.
That's kind of cool.
So I'm like, what? That sounds dope, but with Christian Bale. So anything he's in, Oh shit, I'm cramping up, bro.
Got it.
Yeah, I did legs today, and sometimes if on leg day, if I squeeze my legs wrong or something, they'll cramp up. I got to stretch them out. So if I look weird right now, see, this is why I need Roundbox Fitness,
right?
bro. Yeah. I had a pretty good leg day today. So
nice.
Yeah. You've been training yourself too?
Yeah. So, it's, where I was talking about before is the big part next is, when I create a piece of equipment, like, it doesn't take me long, but I have a whole library of progressions and systems.
Yes.
But what's really cool now is I have 4 trainers that are like basically on my board of directors, and we're creating.
You said that you've been adding in trainers.
Yeah. So we're creating the certification together. So it's that has been the biggest challenge for me in the sense is I think a certain way, and within the fitness community and performance, people have so many different ways of looking at anything. Mm-hmm. So distilling it down to a vanilla offering, at least the first one, that we can make an impact with it's like sifting through it's 100 of your favorite things and you got a big 10. So what's great with these guys is I send them, like we're starting with the foot, we're going all the way up I think to the hip right now with the module we're going through, and I send them everything. I'm like, and basically they decide what stays, what goes. We decide as a group, which is great because as much as this is my baby, like I don't want it to be limited just by where I'm at.
Yes, anytime. There's always a saying about that, like, if you're only using your views, you're going to be, like, totally missing out.
Yes.
Like, like, if you're closed off to other people's, like, you should definitely be the one leading it because it's, like, your thing. But for you to, like, close off ideas from out, you're going to be missing out on, like, that's resources for you.
Yes.
So you got to tap into and that's, like you said earlier, part of, like, letting go of some of the ego sometimes and taking suggestions from other people, right?
Yeah, and what's great about that is I'll never complain about where I'm at, but it's like 80% logistics and business right now.
Yeah.
So, like, and it really got away from the training, and now when I'm working with these guys, granted it's remote, so it's text and video, I'm back in that training
back
mode.
in that world.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's like, I'm with my soldiers again, like being
right, because that's where you started,
and
now you're back to it.
And it got me fired up. again.
Okay, good, man. Yeah. So you got your passion reignited.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
it.
because the lot of stuff I have to do on the business end is very necessary, and it's exciting in its own way, but it's not the same kind of like fire I get.
Well,
from,
and it's funny because I was talking to, I had Jeff and Danielle from Body Shop Fitness on
oh,
here.
sweet.
And it was funny listening to Jeff because, his dream was opening a gym. And
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
Body Shop, which we all, everybody, we love Body Shop.
Yeah.
It's like just one of the best gyms around here. And he was talking about like that. So like, when he started, he was training so hard. And then the thing is like, when he started the Body Shop, he's now a business owner, and it took over his life. And he's like, I always told myself I was going to be one of those people, like, even though I'm running a business, I'm still going to be hitting it hard in the gym. And he's like, before long, he's like, I had no time to even train myself because the business took all my time.
Yes.
And so, like you said, it gets really hard when you're getting pulled into the business side of it. So it's cool that you're getting to reignite with the training side of it again. Like.
Yeah, and it's interesting, kind of switching roles, because as a trainer, when I was just training, that's all I did. Like, before I would train my clients on my break, I'd be working out all day.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was like, why doesn't everybody just do this?
Yeah.
So now that I'm like have all these other responsibilities, it's like the mental like capacity isn't what it used to be, but just kind of becoming one of my customers in the sense like my workouts are in 5-6 minute bursts throughout the day now instead of a dedicated hour.
Right. So you got it when you can have time to do it.
And which is good because it's almost like forced research. Like
it's similar to like what you would have somebody like in an office do. Or
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
So you get a realistic sense on what can be
what can be done.
Yeah, what can be done. How do we do it? I do kind of. I think it's one of my skills. I thrive in those situations, but like a less than ideal or just shitty environment and making it work really well.
Right.
That's kind of been my whole career. Like, when I started training, I was in New York City, and it may be different now, but a lot of the gyms were buildings that weren't supposed to be gyms.
Okay.
So when you get to your training shift, you got to claim this 5x5 area and not move for 8 hours. Another trainer will take it. So it's like
really
you have to figure out. Yeah.
You have to figure out how to work out and just by staying there.
Yeah. So it was like situations like that where it's like so many times in my career I was stuck in these things and
making the best out of bad situations, basically.
Exactly.
So that became like a skill for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like basically just like turning whatever into gold kind of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, that's hard to do sometimes.
Yes.
Like, stuff gets so overwhelming and
I'm proud of it. I won't miss it where I always have to do that all the time, but I'm glad I have it if I need.
But you feel like you're kind of getting to a spot where things are getting better and better.
Yeah, we had some definitely some team members fall off, and it was a little scary because it's stuff I don't know how to do.
Right.
And it was one of those moments I reached out a lifeline. It's like anybody I know can help me, and then like I mentioned him earlier. John, who's he gave us a shout out.
He was the dude that gave the shout out on the He
stepped up and he's taken over our marketing, and that is like a giant part of this next step. And like he has the knowledge, he's been in fitness, and I trust him. And it was like, as soon as we had that conversation, I could sleep that night. I was like,
right. So as a business owner, talk a little bit about the importance of putting together a good team.
Oh God,
it's
huge. I mean, there's the obvious things like technical skill is very important, but how you work with somebody is gigantic. Communication. Yeah. And I think that's partly why I bonded with you so fast. And you may see this at your job is like, some people aren't communicators. They just talk at you and like you could not be there. It happens in work sometimes. And like, I'll be stating my goals and what I need to do. And I know this guy's not listening. Yeah. And either he's a potential business partner or somebody I'm paying. I'm like, this is not good. Like I talk
like he's not even paying attention.
Yeah. And at the end, they just do what they want to do. And like, we had this conversation 5 times what happened, but it's communication.
So how do you get through to somebody like that?
It's what I have learned so far, at least the stage I'm at, is we have to vet that as soon as possible. And as soon as I know it, it's not a good fit. It's
just, you almost have to get that person out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so it's about having a functioning team, right?
Having a functioning team. And maybe, I'm definitely not that way. So maybe there's an environment where that works. It just doesn't work with ours. Like,
right.
You have to be able to listen.
Well, that's what Jeff was talking about with the opening the gym thing, was having, the marketing person in place, the person that does this in place, the person who's a trainer. Like, there's so many moving parts, and it all has to be working together.
Yeah.
in a certain way, and it becomes like this balancing act. And if one thing's off, yeah, because that's the other thing. So like, you could probably talk a little bit about marketing.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's something I don't know much about. And I mean, that's a shortcoming for a lot of people because there are like a lot of people don't like social media and they feel like it's, and it can be a disgusting thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues about it. It's an addictive thing. Mm-hmm. It causes a lot of problems with us overusing dopamine. So we're just getting dopamine hits all day. There's a lot of research that it is affecting young females really negatively because of bullying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, to succeed right now, if you don't have a big presence online and in social media, I mean, is that something where you can succeed without that nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of your powerful tools because you're in control of that.
Right.
But that being said, I mean, if you're looking at a lifestyle company where you just want to live, you be pretty wealthy and comfortable, you don't have to have a crazy following. Is
that over exaggerated sometimes that we need so much social media?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's actually less important.
Yeah, I mean,
because I've heard that too.
Yeah, I mean, I've known guys with either it's on Instagram or YouTube, like 7,000 followers, and they're pulling six figures because they connect with their audience. They know what they want. They have offerings for that.
Yes.
So more so, yes, you need a following, but you need the right following and the right communication to that community, if that makes sense.
And then you have to have the right messaging, kind of like.
Yeah, and
so like the way that you post, the way you interact with your followers, that matters too, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's an interesting mix of being authentic, but also understanding how to craft your message. And I think that just comes with time.
Yeah, because I feel like people online can see through bullshit.
Yeah.
So like, but at the same time, you have to realize it's a business.
Yeah.
But so like, you're going to put it out there that it's a business, that you're trying to make money, but they also want to see that you like sort of don't care about social media or like you're not. I feel like it comes off inauthentic when you're overdoing it. Like you're just doing stuff for clout, or you're just doing stuff for like, they want to see that you're kind of like have something besides just wanting clout, power, money. They want to see that you actually are an individual that has like morals, cares about things, cares about them, right? Like, so I feel like you kind of have to be sort of authentic on social media.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I know a lot of people, you get them face to face or in a room or whatever, and you're the best person ever, and then you put a camera in front of them, and all of a sudden it's like brr.
They freeze up.
So it's I want to say skill, but it's just, I guess, exposure.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you're very natural.
Well, but even you, when you come on this podcast, like you were not freaked out because you're used to like pitching yourself, selling yourself. You've talked to, like you said, you had to get over that fear. You had to go into different businesses. Tell them what you have to offer. So you had to like, cultivate this social ability to talk to different people. You put this camera on you, you're not freaked out. You know how to be on a podcast. You're not freaked out about, am I on camera? Yeah. Oh shit. Hopefully I didn't just fuck something up. But
that was good timing too.
Yeah. Anyways, so there we go. That's what happens. But no, and I'm used to that too, so it never really affects me. But I've had people on here, and especially some of my younger guests, like that came on, and they are like, it's the first time they've ever been in front of anybody.
Yeah.
And they both did well, but there is a tendency you could just freeze up and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And you make a really big deal about it, and you're scared of like every move. Like, what if I look weird? What if I'm doing this? Or, but like as you do it more, you just kind of get over that. Right? Yeah. All right, everybody, it is time to take a short break for our sponsors. The Nicky Free Podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped. They are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. So join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. So it is 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code NickyFit at manscaped.com. So the thing about it is, like, when you're, you're trying to shave your balls, you got like a date or something, you don't know where things are going to go, but you don't want to be like showing up all messy down there. You want to show up all clean. You want to be looking good down there. You know what I'm saying? So like we've all done that. You get a shaver out, you go to shave yourself, and what happens every time? You cut your balls, man. And it's no good when you cut your balls. You know, you start bleeding all over your ball sack. You got blood going everywhere. You get it cleaned up. You go on the date. And, like, obviously, you know, you're a high-performance male. So, like, things are going good for you in the date. You know, stuff starts going well. And next thing you know, like, one thing leads to another. But then the thing is, you whip it out. And, like, there's a big thing. Like, you know, your balls are all cut up. And it's, like, all sore down there. And it's, like, such a turnoff, you know. So it's, like, you don't want that to happen to you, you know, like you don't want a big open wound on your ball sack when you're out on a date. Like that's just no way to be. So check out the Performance Package 4.0 has arrived and it is a game changer. So inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is right here. And look at these things, man. Manscaped's products are so aesthetically pleasing looking, like the design on it. It looks like something that Batman would use. It's like so sleek. It's all black. It's just like aesthetically pleasing to look at. They've done such a good job. So this is the Lawnmower 4.0. You know, the other thing that comes in the performance package is the Weed Whacker, nose hair and ear trimmer, because it's like, I mean, I see this all the time. You're talking to somebody and it's like they take care of themselves. They eat healthy. They work out. They're trying to look good and everything. But then it's like you look at their nose and it's a bunch of nose hair sticking out. Bro, take care of that. Like, why do you want to do that? Use the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer because, like, clean that shit up, dude. Nobody wants to see that, man. Inside the package, you're also going to find the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant because you want your balls to smell good, the Crop Reviver Toner, and then also the boxer briefs that come with. You know, and I'm probably going to take some scantily clad photos in these because, you know, if you've seen my Instagram, the leaner I get, the more like scantily clad photos and videos I take. So I'm going to be rocking these Manscaped things, showing off the abs, trying to look sexy online. I'll be taking some videos in these. It also comes with the travel bag so you can carry it all with you so that when you're on the go, you know, you got to be looking good when you're on the go. So let's talk a little bit about the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is the future of grooming and, dare I say, the greatest ball hair trimmer ever. It's a 4th generation trimmer. It features cutting edge ceramic blades to reduce grooming accidents thanks to the advanced skin safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof. It also has an LED spotlight. So when you're down there doing it, man, like you can see all the nooks and crannies. It got the spotlight on it so you're not missing any spots or anything. Because it's waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor. You can do it in the shower. You can, you know. So, guys, it's time to take care of yourself. All right, look at this. Look at this product. It's awesome. Thank you, Manscaped. This stuff is so great. You know, they also threw in this beard hedger, which is just a great beard trimmer. We'll talk about that another time. But this is the performance package. So, yeah, you know, guys, go online, go to manscaped.com. If you want 20% off, use code NickyFit. You will get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. So check out the performance package. It's awesome. And thank you guys so much. Use code NickyFit. Save 20%. You're really helping out the podcast. And I want to say that I was already using Manscaped before they started sponsoring the podcast. I think they're a great product. So thank you guys for picking this stuff up. Use code NickyFit. Save 20% and free shipping. You're really helping me out. You're helping out the podcast. And thank you to Manscaped. And thank you guys. Go out there. Let's get cleaned up. Let's get cleaned up. Let's not go out there all messy and stuff. We got to look good. All right, guys. Thank you.
So I think it's a combo of that repetition, and then I think that's where your voice and your marketing comes from. And, you know, I'm not a giant company, so this could change as people scale out. But sometimes, you know, they'll get branding teams and they try and craft this message, and it just comes off so forced. Like our whole thing, it took me, God, from 2016 to probably about 2 years ago to find our actual company byline.
Yeah.
And we tried a bunch of different things, and it wound up being, you know, we're the joint strength experts. And
Yeah.
it's like 3 words. I don't know, 4 words, but it was like
But it's simple and it's honest.
Yeah. And it actually came from a sales demo, a sales call.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was trying to talk to this big MMA gym, and I was throwing all my terms at him, telling him how I was going to help his fighters, and he was like dead quiet. He's like, hold on. He's like, do you do joint strength? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll take one of everything. We need that. And I was like,
bro, that's it. So you found the magic words.
Yeah. And it's in, maybe I've put the cart before the horse, but it's not a term that's really owned yet.
Yeah.
So when we're doing our marketing, doing our SEO and all our articles, like we're going to keep joint strength.
We're the joint strength experts. And
that's going to be our term.
Nobody else can do it. We're the experts.
Yeah.
No, dude, it's got to be simple. And like, what are some examples of when it gets like people that try too hard? Like when shit gets too corporate, sometimes it gets really weird.
It does. And, I think kind of a high level example of that is I talk to a lot of very successful guys. And the problem is even if they're very great at their role in a company, let's say it's a CFO, CEO, and they have a branding team behind them, sometimes they get clouded in thinking that was their magic too, like they came up with that. And so what happens was, even if it's a potential business partner or maybe a consultant or someone just trying to give me advice, they start peppering me with branding stuff that I'm like, I know you don't know what you're talking about.
It's just the only thing they have to go. That's all they have, right?
Yeah, or it's like they think their skills go beyond their actual like specialties.
Their actual skills.
Yeah.
So it's like they have a delusional sense of self, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like inflated ego.
Yeah, I think it was like one meeting we had. It's like, we need to change all this to purple, and I was like, what? And I was like,
that was it.
Was
just
like,
purple.
It stands for royalty. It stands for this, for that, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, hell no. I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
Crown Royal, dude.
Yeah,
they do that.
Exactly.
That works for them.
Yeah, I don't know if we could go in partnership with them.
Purple is like the color of royalty, right?
Yeah. But it's just,
so what? That was just his one like grain of knowledge was purple, bro.
Well, it's just an example, or there, even about the design.
Like I got one word for you. Check it out. Everything purple, and that's gonna like solve all your problems.
Here's my invoice. You're like, what?
Yeah. Now you owe me like thousands of dollars. Purple. That's it.
Yeah. Or like some guys will come in. They'll say something about design. You should add this and add that. And in my head, I know all the steps to do what they want, and I was like, you either got to write me a giant check or that's not happening.
So they don't have a realistic expectation sometimes.
Yeah, and I guess the short version or the summary of what I was trying to say is like, maybe your idea is good, but there's like so many steps to achieve what you just said.
Yeah.
And team and money that I may not have, or I may not want to allocate towards that.
So you're thinking about all these different variables, and they're just thinking of one idea, and you're thinking about the realistic implications of trying to make that idea a reality.
Exactly, right.
And it's not always worth it, or it's not always actually feasible.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So, maybe it's not fair to say inauthentic, but I think just understanding, because the problem with me early on is because, like, let's say someone was a CEO and owner of this giant company, I would immediately assume he knows everything, or he knows way more than me about everything. Yeah. And over the years, after like becoming friends with some of those guys and constant meetings, I'm like, I know a lot more than you about a lot of things.
How many like dudes who are like really big, like high up in companies, do you think actually don't know shit?
I think...
And they just somehow kind of like life just kind of like unfolded in a certain way. They took the path of least resistance. Maybe they were born into a family that had money. Yeah. They got into this school. They got into this job. They didn't fuck anything up too bad. Then they just stumbled into this position. And so you assume that they're like really intelligent or something, but they could just be a complete dumbass.
To be fair, all the guys that did that to me were good at their job.
Yeah.
It was when they started talking out of that I'd be like, what?
Okay.
I bet there's
probably some of those.
Yeah.
But then there's probably some people that are in those high jobs that like people will shit on, higher positions sometime, and it's like, but if you were in that spot, you would not have. You wouldn't be able to handle the pressure, or you wouldn't be able. I even think that sometimes about like these, billionaire CEOs, all these people, like it's like fun to hate on them, and I get it. I'm always, we get jealous of people that are successful, but sometimes it's like, but you would not want the pressure that comes with their job,
Like what I'm managing is about all I can handle, and it's like this compared to these giant things.
Yeah.
Or, each one of your decisions is going to affect the entire company, every employee.
Like, it's really easy to hate on Elon Musk, but imagine trying to handle the amount of pressure he has every single day.
Yeah. Why?
All the stuff he's got going up in the air, all the people who hate him, all all the people that he's employing and giving a job to, and it's like
the crazy thing about that is I think you have to have some sort of emotional detachment.
You must have.
So you have to, and I'm using the wrong words, but give up a little bit of your humanity. Like
I think you almost have to.
At a certain point, it's a math equation. And
you're not thinking of like people. You can't.
Yeah. So it's
you drive yourself crazy.
So I think it takes a certain type of person. Like
because there's times where like people have to be cut.
Yeah.
Budgets you have to cut people. You have to lay people. I mean that just happened here, right?
Yeah.
Like a ton of people just got laid off from all these jobs. Yeah. Imagine being the person that has to like, and you care about people and you don't want to hurt anybody, but at the end of the day, like.
Yeah.
My job is to like save this company money, and now I have to like lay all these. That'd be tough, man.
Yeah,
I bet that's not easy. Like being in charge of those kind of decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of do that, right?
Yeah, like
and to some degree.
We're small enough and agile enough. Like we haven't had to deal with that. I would imagine at some point there's a degree of that, or there's somebody in that place. And I say this not as a what's it called, self-degradation. I'm not the right guy for that role. Like I think where I want to wind up and where they're going to put me is, chief innovation officer, where I'm coming up with concepts, connecting.
That's your thing.
Yeah, and like someone with that skill set and that mindset to make those high level decisions.
So that'll be somebody else's job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a job I want. I'm like I'm too nice. I'd want to get like I want to get everybody something. I don't want you to not be able to feed your family.
Yeah. And that was a big thing for me is starting to get investors and partners is that me as a person, I think it's important for the brand. But if me as a person is making some of these decisions could be bad for the company. So having that realization and that, that foresight to be like, okay, I'm going to do it.
So you're smart enough business-wise to know that you're not the guy to be in charge of that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those tough decisions need to be made.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like that in life you have to make really cold decisions,
yes, it is.
Based on
That's
reality.
A good adjective, yeah.
Cold, emotionless decisions, and it doesn't really have, you're not trying to hurt anybody, but like this thing just has to get done, or this, this thing is toxic or bad for me. I need to cut it out of my life. Like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but you're in this spot and I'm trying to be in this spot and you're dragging me down. You're just not going to be part of my life anymore.
Yeah. And it's just as, your responsibilities grow, whether that's emotion or financial, it's like you have X amount of energy to give out. And if I'm putting out this energy on this one person or this one project and it's draining everything, like it just doesn't make sense.
They call it like bandwidth, right?
Yeah,
so you only have so much bandwidth. So if this person keeps sucking it all up and it's like, but you're getting no return on it, it's like, we got to sever this tie. Like, I only have enough. Because I find that right now where, like, I have zero time for, like, I don't have a lot of time for any kind of, like, fuck around stuff. If it's not, like, something to do with, like, lifting, my podcast, my personal training, or something that's making me money, it's kind of like I don't have any time to do it. Yeah. Like at all, it's like, I'm sorry. Like, I was just saying that the other day, I'm kind of like in this like space where it's like anybody trying to tell me to relax or calm down. Like, I'm not in the spot right now to be doing that. I want people that are like, bro, you could work harder. You could get up earlier. You could get more done. You could actually spend the time you're watching Netflix on I want somebody like, cause I'm in the spot right now where I want to make it. So I want to be, this is not the time to rest. This is not the time to go on vacations. It's not the time to relax. It's the time to like work really fucking hard so that I can do some of that when I'm older.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how I feel right now. And that because when you're in a business, you're always in this like, if all your money, you're not working for somebody else.
Yeah.
So your paycheck depends on your ability to go out and make your business successful.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to like, fuck around too much, right? Yeah. So I don't know. You get kind of cold or like hard, but it's like you kind of have to put yourself in that spot.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's it's an interesting transition for me. Mm-hmm. So it's.
I mean, we still talk about. I still like to try to make time for friends and family and stuff. You got to do that.
Exactly. I think you have your core group and and that's where it goes. And
now you have some pretty core friends, right? Like
So honestly, like with my daughter, my wife, my parents, and the business, and I have a handful of friends.
Tight knit group.
Yeah, I probably have I got under 5 really close friends that we see each other every couple months, and I'm in my late 40s. I think we're all kind of there in our life. Is like
you're kind of like set with the friends you have.
Yeah,
it gets harder to like learn new things, or I try to work on that as I get older.
Yeah.
Like, be open to, like, new friends, new experiences. Because, like, it gets harder as you get older to make new friends and stuff.
What I think is pretty cool about what you got going, and I do too, is, like, through my work.
Networking.
Like, the network. And they become your friends, too.
It's pretty dope, dude. Yeah, I've made a lot of friends on here. And, like,
yeah,
you actually get a chance to sit down and have these really good conversations with people, which is really rare in 2023, actually.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you're an 80s kid, too.
Yeah.
Remember, this is like kind of what we used to do. Like, we would like chill with each other.
Yeah.
Watch movies, hang out. You'd like, have some drinks, whatever. Like, I don't know. Nowadays, there's a lot less of that because like the minute you're sitting with somebody, like we'd be on our phones. Like,
I know, right? Yeah.
Like checking our phone, getting the dopamine hit. So this podcast gives you time to like sit down and connect with people, and that's been really cool. Like I just had that powerlifter Zach on.
Yeah.
He's been on like I think 3 times now. And like the dude's, he's studying physics.
Yeah.
And like his dream is to be somehow involved in like getting the human race to Mars. Like, like and he's a deep dude. Like he's always talking about like the universe and like I don't know, man, like you just don't get to have those kind of conversations anymore. Or like sitting around talking about MMA with you, or like I even had like that Barb Honchik, who was an MMA fighter, on here.
Yeah.
And her episode really surprised me because, like, 1, it was cool having her on. 2, I realized there is a lot of crossover. Even though her sport was real and my sport of pro wrestling worked, there's a lot of crossover in a sense of, like, they're both things that are promoted that you have to sell tickets for. So like the promotional parts, there was a lot of like, I relate to that, like how they sell pay-per-views and like what's going to drum up excitement for a pay-per-view and like how to promote things. And then she actually was getting pretty deep talking about crazy stuff at the end. I'm like, damn, this is really, but like where else do you get to have these conversations other than like in podcast form?
Yeah.
Because it's like long conversation, everything now is like 10-second TikToks and this and that. And like the young generation, like I love that this is like 2-3 hour conversations, like old school style. Like you have to have an attention span to listen to it.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's a lost art.
Yes, it definitely is.
So like, what about, do you like the Godfather movies?
Yeah, I remember the originals, like 1 and 2. I remember 3 was like sadly disappointing.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 and 2, like 2 was the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 was great.
You know what's funny is I don't know how your parents were, but my parents did not censor anything we watched.
No, we got to watch stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like we had like all these movies on Betamax. We had the Betamax, and there'd be like always some like horror movie on or Godfather from when I was like 5. I remember watching all this stuff. And like,
I know. Yeah, we used to get to watch a lot of shit that I'm like, I don't know if we should have been able to watch that.
I know.
But it was different back then.
Yeah.
You didn't worry about that shit that much.
Exactly. Yeah.
As long as your kids were like, I don't know, they just didn't think about that stuff that much back then.
And it, I'm using the wrong word, is desensitized, but like it wasn't a big deal because I remember like some of my friends.
Well, it was just a movie.
Yeah, they would come over and watch it. They'd be like, ah.
Yeah. You're like, I've seen this. I've seen people get their heads cut off a million times. Yeah. Yeah, if you've seen it, you've seen it. You do get kind of desensitized to it, but I don't know. But yeah, so that I remember talking about The Godfather with my coworker that was like, I think 22 at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, I can't watch that. It's so fucking long. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
That is true.
I'm like, they can't watch anything long. I'm like, but you're missing out on such great storytelling.
What's funny is I do like I'll like watch movie reviews to see like, do I want to see that? But a lot of them are like, oh my god, it was too long. It was over 2 hours. But like, I love those longer movies.
Same, dude. Like they were saying that about that new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, too long? It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, what was too long about it? Nothing.
Like, I'm opposite now because you know those TV series are so good. Like an hour and a half movie, I'm like, how do you fit anything into that?
Yeah, that's right, because the series are so good and they're episode. Yeah, there's some good shit out there right now, man.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. Yeah, the episodic shit changed everything, I think.
Oh, man.
It's definitely made storytelling different. Like, they write those episodes like they're crack.
Yeah.
Like, because the minute one is over, you, like, immediately want to see the next one.
I know.
They always leave it, like, hanging at the end.
Yeah,
It's pretty wild, man. But, I mean, that's why everybody binges everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys ever binge stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
It's tough not to.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I feel like that's weird. Even as hard as you're working with the business, and me too, like, I still find myself binging way too much Netflix. And I'm like, how do I even have time for that?
I know. Well, it's for one, the way they write it is like you almost like you're just drawn into it. And then for me, it's definitely escapism.
Well, and I feel like it's so my rule is always like, if I have everything done, and this isn't to say like, actually, there's still better use of my time. Let's get this straight. There's always better use of your time than watching fucking Netflix. You could be like Zach was on here saying, he's like, you could be learning something. You could be learning how to shoot. You could be learning how to shoot a bow. You could be learning yoga. You could be learning something much better for yourself. But my rule is always like, if I have everything done that I needed to accomplish that day. Now, if I start watching Netflix in the morning, I'm going to hate myself because I'm wasting my time. But if I've done everything that I planned to do that day and I have it all done, then at night if I watch something, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a wind down thing.
And I'm always about ratios in the sense like, you know, if you just have this time for your mind to shut down and just kind of be dumb and just absorb entertainment, it's like,
you sort of need that sometimes. Yeah,
there's a level of it, as long as, you know, you're not doing it for 6 hours a day, like it can be somewhat energizing in the sense like, I can stop thinking about, you know, the next supply, the next month.
It stops you from worrying about shit for a few minutes.
I mean, even if it's 45 minutes where I'm just like looked at this, you know, watching this really good show and I'm like kind of wrapped up in it. It's like, okay,
now I got a chance to relax for a second, man. Is that stressful running the business, dude?
Oh, dude. Well, especially at this stage.
What's your stress level like every day?
You know, it's like a roller coaster. The past 3 months were really rough because we took a huge hits in the team. We lost a guy who said he was going to do something and didn't, and it was a huge role. Mm-hmm. And just kind of coping with that, not only financially, but also replacing him, and then mentally. Like, it's such a weird... to have the rug yanked out under you.
It affected you mentally,
yeah,
too.
And I'm not a vindictive person at all, and I was more mad at myself that I put myself in the company in that position. So that
you trusted somebody too much.
Yeah, and it was like... and...
So does that make it like scary to trust people in the future, or you just have more rules about how you do it?
You nailed it. Yeah. And it was like, you know, it's happened before, and it was this last one was like, I have my, you know, 3-5 rules, like everybody come on board. This is what happens. And like you talked about, you know, having these very direct and, you know, cold conversations, like if this doesn't happen, like, it's done. You're done. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like an angry, threatening thing. It's just like very factual, very calm.
It's just, this is how it is. If you can't do that, you're not the right person. Yeah.
And we have to figure that out.
And that's just how you have to protect your business, dude. That's like how it has to be. That's how it has to be when you're running a business. There is no like I said, it's like you have to almost become emotionless in certain senses.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that have to be done. Or, you know. Yeah, I think that's a hard lesson to learn with doing anything entrepreneurial, right?
Yeah. But it was good. I think this is probably one of the biggest hits we took. But as we created the new team, we're moving forward. We have the team I like trust inside and out. And even within that trust, like we even had talks like, if this doesn't happen by month 3, like it's done, and they were totally cool with it. Yeah. And then 2 is having redundant systems. Is like, even if I'm horrible at it, I have to be able to do a little bit of each role. Yes. In case, I don't know, nobody shows up.
Okay, so you're not putting yourself in a position where you could get screwed over like that again. Yeah. So you're going to have to be involved in everything. Yeah. So that, say this does happen, I actually know how to pick up for it and make sure that it still gets done or still gets...
Yeah, like my buddy John, he's helping me out a ton. Like, he's taking over our marketing, but teaching me not only to help out with some of the legwork, but like, let's pretend that like maybe he gets a higher position or we're not working with him for some reason, that if I hire a new consultant, I can be in their dashboard every day figuring out what's going on. Like, did you do what you said you do? Like, what am I paying for? Like, what? So I was like, these are very important details that before I was like, just do your thing. I trust you.
But so it took you trial and error to kind of learn what you needed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that just kind of came with time, like,
Yeah.
and that's part of like getting better at what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
You learn that, you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, so that puts you in a better position going forward. Then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a tough 3 months where I was doing a little soul searching, not really sleeping. Then as soon as like we kind of got through it and we have this plan going forward, it's like my confidence was here before, it was here, and then now
it's there.
And I was like, all right,
oh shit,
I'm
dude,
back,
that is such a classic story.
I'm back.
It's like things are going good for a while, and then for a while you're like, oh my god, I'm fucked.
Yeah,
you know, and then all of a sudden you're like, they're going even better than before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they say anytime you're doing a business, you're like, the most important thing is just keep going.
Yes.
Or like, I mean, I feel like that with fitness too. Like sometimes you're gonna have a bad week, but it's like, it's always gonna be like this.
Yes.
But it's slowly gonna get better and better.
Yeah.
So it's like never. You want it to be a straight line, but it's actually more like this the whole way. But you're still, as long as you're going up.
Yeah.
You know, that's. I don't know, dude. That's tough. It just like. You have to get this like internal thing where you just trust yourself.
Yeah, trust yourself and like
have faith in, like you said, the universe. It's almost weird. You have to like almost put it out there to something greater. Like, I know you got me. I know you got me. This is gonna work out.
I know.
I feel like that sometimes, dude. Where it's like, you know, stuff just isn't quite going as good as it was, or like. And you're like, how am I going to get through this? And then something will happen where it's like, okay, now I can breathe again.
Yeah.
I got this, you know, so, like I got a new client. There's another, you know, $700, or there's this. It's like, okay, I can get groceries now. I put, you know, like eventually you want to never put yourself in those positions where you're cutting it that close. But when you're ambitious and you're like running a business, you're taking chances with stuff. You're investing in things, you know, you're cutting it close sometimes, and that's like I think that comes with the territory. But
and what I always think back to is like the job that I left to do this on my own. They treated me so well. I mean, the commissions they were paying me, I think they weren't even profiting off me. They were just they were breaking even on me. Just, you know, they you know, we had a good relationship. They want to keep me happy. Like, you don't get that kind of scenario.
No.
But then all of a sudden, like, I was just like unmotivated. Like, I wanted to do more, and like it took me a few years to like. This is the best situation I can be in as a trainer working for somebody, but I'm not happy. And it's like, I got to do something else. And so that's always in the back of my mind, because even if, you know, if I wanted to tap out and go back to that, I'd be even more miserable.
But that's the easy path, dude. Like, that's why you don't take, but that's why, like, doing the hard one, putting yourself out there where you have to, like, it's sink or swim, and sometimes you feel like you're actually losing, and you're so close to failing, but you're still like getting by. That's probably what keeps you more passionate, because you're like you're out there struggling for your life, dude. Like, you're actually fighting to feed yourself. Like, it's different. It's so different working for somebody else versus trying to do it on your own. Because there's times where you're literally fighting for your next meal, or fighting to pay that bill that you have to pay, or fighting to like. And you don't know how you're going to make it happen. But somehow you got to make it happen.
Exactly.
Dude, it's weird. I've never done it until like just recently, where it's been like that, you know. So
and it's a trip too, because like I talked about, communication is so important, and even if, you know, it's a sales opportunity or networking, it's like I think because I talk to so many people, you almost within like 30 seconds you're able to put them in a certain category at least. To know, you know, where this is going to go, how should I speak to them? So it's like I'm always doing these calculations, even it's like socially.
That came with time, huh?
All of a sudden I'm
this is one of these people. This is one of these people. This one. Okay, I know how. All right. Dude, that's so interesting.
You know, sometimes you're wrong. You got to shift a little bit, but you get a good beat on people. And
have you ever had somebody totally surprise you? Like they ended up being somebody really valuable to you, or like that you didn't see it coming?
Yeah. You know, it's and it took me a while to learn this, and I'm painting with broad strokes, but I find the guys that really listen and say less happen to be the smartest mofos out there.
People that talk the least are...
And they're just absorbing.
and I say this as a dude who's talking for 3 hours on a podcast all the time.
Exactly.
But no, the weird thing is like, yeah, so that's, I mean, they say that too about like, usually like the strongest dude in the room is the most quiet too, because he doesn't have to be loud. You know, like they always say insecurities are loud.
Cause,
and what is it? Confidence is quiet.
Yeah. Because like, you know, typically in our scenarios, I'm talking about my business and what we're offering, and like a lot of times, kind of the blowhards that don't know what they're talking about, they're interrupting me and they're trying to challenge me on every single detail.
Yeah.
And before, it used to intimidate me, but now I realize like you're just trying to flex or something.
So what do you do in that situation now? You just kind of like, all right.
So what's funny about that is before I used to kind of take it on the chin and be like, oh yeah, I'll take all those things. And now I just stop the meeting and I would be like, you know what? You're like, and you don't have to be a dick about it, but I know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm wasting your time, you're wasting my time. But when you asked like if anybody ever surprised me, there was a handful of times where I don't like to take over the conversation, but I feel like I'm talking the whole time. And this guy is like, and I'm like, dude, I'm boring this dude. And then I'll get this like novel of an email after with bullet points, like I thought this, I thought that was great, blah blah, and it's like,
so he was listening the whole time.
Yeah,
you had no idea.
And they're like, they absorb and then they go back and they think on it and they give you like succinct points on everything you said over an hour, and like these guys.
So he was
remember.
totally
I was like,
listening.
damn,
Like,
yeah.
damn, I didn't think that. Yeah,
Yeah, and at first it used to be nerve wracking for me because like sometimes you're like, he's not reacting, like, do I need to say more? Do I need to? But
that is weird when you're pitching something or giving a presentation and you're not sure, or like.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like when you like a girl or something and you meet her parents and it's like you start talking too much because you want them to like you. You know, you're like, I just really want them to like me, but then they're like, God, he talks a lot. It's like, oh fuck, I talk too much or whatever. Like, it's like, that's a thing for sure, dude. Like when you're insecure about something, you're overdoing it.
Yeah,
you're being like too loud about it, like. It's like, you know, you're trying to sell like yourself as a trainer to someone and you're like, I'm the best trainer ever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, actually, if you were really good, you'd probably just be like quiet. Like, I always found lately too, something I believe in is I usually trust people the most that are like, when you ask them something, you'll get more things like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like, well, it could be that. But this also could work, or that's not always true. Some, you know, like people that are open-minded, like seem to be the most intelligent. Like people who are super sure of things, a lot of times I find they're just full of shit.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's usually like
you're either ignorant or you're full of shit.
Yeah. So there's a lot of coaches and trainers that just want to sell you like this way is the way, and it's the only thing that works, and this and that. And it's like, but that's not actually true.
Yeah.
Because like the body's so complex and so many different things work, and there's so many different ideas, and there's so many different methods, and like, you know, I don't know, to say like one thing for certain is really tough to do in fitness. Like with any kind of certain. I mean, there's certain things scientifically that are just pure fact, obviously. But I don't know. It's like so much stuff is open to debate, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of like the idea, like, you know, people talk about like, you know, should you spank your kids or this? Like, I mean, nobody knows.
Yes.
Like, nobody really knows. Like, there's so much data, like, it's bad, and then there's other people, or like, do you pick up your kid when they're crying, or does that, like, teach them to be, like, overly dependent? Like, who knows? Like, they don't really know that shit. So it's like, it's really hard to say one way or the other. Yeah. You know, and I think fitness is like that with a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the human body, the nervous system, it's so complex.
Right.
And what I'm finding, I don't know if you see this, there's some of the top guys in like the science research and even the fitness influencer space, they're very open-minded. Like they're getting away from tearing other people down or saying this is bullshit, is that. But even these top guys who are involved in the studies, doing the research, are saying we actually don't know the mechanisms. We're estimating. We know this causes this. Yeah. The why, we have guesses, but we don't know. So
the jury's still out on the why sometimes.
And that's what I love. I mean, because it's so honest and it's so realistic. I mean, you know, this is our system. This is all I do. Some of the things we're able to do, I can guess. You know, I can guess, I can connect it to things, but I'm not going to say this is because this.
Yeah. But you're able to kind of basically get like generalizations or like know something works because you've tried it.
Yes.
And so you don't necessarily always know the why, but you're like, I know it works.
Yeah.
I always like, enjoy like Huberman Lab podcasts
Yeah.
and like a lot of those
I was just
science.
listening to that on the way here.
Really, dude?
Yeah.
Which episode?
So it's with Andy Galpin. They're talking about recovery, and I think that was actually a quote from him. He's like, right now, what we're looking at, what I see, this is my estimation what the mechanisms are why this happens, but we've been wrong before, but this is where it's at right now. And
That's
it's like,
what I'm saying. Do you hear a guy like Dr. Andy Galpin?
That's the dude, like
the smartest guy in the world. If
he's
he's
in the
saying
lab,
he's not sure, like put your ego aside. It's okay to say you don't know for sure. Like,
yeah. Well, and like every once in a while I'll be talking to a trainer about my stuff or something else, and we're like, well, that's because blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude.
You're like, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, stop it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, people just want to be sure about things.
Yeah.
And it's like it's hard to be sure about anything.
Yeah, and a lot of times I don't think it's a dishonesty, but it's like maybe comforting is the wrong word. It's good to attach yourself to rules and be like to have some sort of structure in your mind. And
It is.
I get it.
Otherwise, I do understand the opposite of that, where if you're just like wishy-washy,
Yeah,
I don't know anything. Like, then there's like, well, then I can't even train my client because I can't, like, well, I don't know if you should do these, it's like, but I mean, it's like, you have to give them something. I mean, like I believe in things like progressive overload. I believe in calorie surplus, calorie deficit, like the basic stuff. But I hear a lot of people that get really weird about certain methodologies and like, that's why I like, Andy Galpin. I like Huberman Lab. I love that bio Lane Norton. And he is actually good at calling out people on bullshit, which I do like with science.
Yeah.
So it's cool when he, I don't know. So I always enjoy that kind of stuff.
Well, and the biggest thing with fitness and performance is so many different things work really well. Mm-hmm. And, maybe if we want to really have this super duper debate, what's the most optimal, like I get it. But like for most everybody, you pick something you like.
Pick a workout and do it and be consistent, and it's going to help you.
So like I don't really get like why you need to talk bad about a system because you don't like it or don't understand it. Like all this different stuff works.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's just something, you find something, you like to play tennis.
Yeah.
Go play tennis. Just any kind of movement's going to be good for you, right? If you like to play football, go play football. If you want to do yoga, go do that. If it's like, just anything's better than nothing, I feel like. Yeah. I mean, or if you don't want to do anything, whatever, do that too. I mean, your health's probably going to suffer. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, right.
If you just want to sit on the couch and eat, do it. And you might be like, you're probably not going to live too long.
You're
or
like,
anything.
Just keep my business card for when you get sick of that.
I'll just be on the couch, just deliver me my food, and it's like, okay, have fun. I mean, that's the only bad thing. So I get that, like, that's one thing I don't like about, like, with food and stuff. It's like, I understand, like, wanting to enjoy and everything, but also, like, lately I've been seeing all these things about, like, people should enjoy things more and all this, and I'm like, I agree. But there are these realities of, like, it will negatively impact your health. There's still consequences for actions. So, I don't know, I've been seeing some weird posts about, like, enjoying yourself and, like, life's too short, and it's like, well, you're gonna make it shorter. It's like, it's already short, like you would think. So I mean, to me, like, health is really important, but also enjoy too. Like, you don't have to, like, always be. A lot of people on here like to do, like, the 80-90 rule, like 90% of the time eat healthy and move, and then 80 or 10 to 20% of the time go have ice cream, have fun. And I think there's something to be said about that.
No, absolutely. I think it's huge. I mean, because I want to say probably the best shape I was ever in, I was like 3 years, like strict. Like I didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was actually our wedding night.
Yeah.
We got room service. I think my wife got cheesecake. And I was like, I'm fine. And also in the middle of the night, like I was ordering more. And then I woke up the next morning like a hangover and my foot was in a piece of cake. And I was like, oh my God. Like I felt like a drug addict. And I just like went off the deep end.
Dude, that's hilarious. You're like, oh no, I relapsed. I relapsed on cheesecake, bro.
Like, I was still in my tux.
You're just like, what have I become? You're like, well, I'm married now. I can let myself go.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, dude. No, there's something fun about it though. Like, for Christmas, I hung out with my friends Kaylee and Steve, and because my flight wasn't able to go out because I was going to go home to Iowa, and so, she's like, I'm so sorry we couldn't get. It was all the ice. It was terrible. And she's like, you're more than welcome. I'd love to cook you food. And like, man, I just took a day off of any kind of diet, and we just watched Christmas movies, and we ate charcuterie.
Nice.
We ate cookies. She made some homemade cookies. We ate like everything. They made this amazing like pork and potatoes, and like that was so fun. So you got to do that sometimes, man.
Well, and the good thing about if you're mostly healthy and you do a day like that, it's super enjoyable, but it hits you hard. Like the next day,
it'll hit you hard.
Oh.
Luckily, I was working out so much that it actually kind of made me feel good.
Oh, nice.
Like I felt pretty jacked the next day because I think. But you're right. If you are eating super healthy all the time and then you go eat some like gut bomb pizza or something, you'll be like the next day like, oh fuck.
Because there's a weird period where you actually kind of get numb to that. Like that discomfort.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to avoid, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. You're just like, well, you're throwing your body something it hasn't digested, and it's like doesn't have like the gut biome to even handle digesting it. So it's like, what the fuck did you do to me, bro? You know, like, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I wonder, so I've got this first bodybuilding show coming up.
Oh, that's right. When is it?
April.
Sweet.
And so I'm in prep for that now.
Yeah.
And I do wonder about that, like when these guys go out to eat after the show and just go to town on stuff. I wonder if they just feel like shit the next day. I've already promised my friend Tyler, he's kind of a foodie dude. Like every time we get together, he starts telling me about these great places to eat. And you got to eat this, bro. And you got to eat this. Because he's just like this social butterfly of a guy. Like he used to work for the Washington Brewers Guild.
Nice.
And so, like, he's just really good with people because that was his job, you know. But so he's like likes to talk about like food, and he's like a guy that could go to any bar, get along with anybody. Everywhere he goes, it's like, Tyler, what's up? He's one of those dudes. Yeah. And I've already promised him like one day after my show, we're gonna go out to eat somewhere.
Nice.
And like he's like, we'll go out all day. We'll start here. We'll get brunch. Then we'll take a break. We'll go to this spot.
It's
and I'm
like a pub crawl. But
just like all day. I'll just be gorging myself on food. And I'm like, I wonder if that's even a good idea, like for the body. I don't think it is. You know, like because I believe in reverse diet. After a show. But I promised him at least one day where I'll go out and eat some stuff with him, and then I'll just get serious again. But so I think those are fun experiences.
Yeah.
And I think people should do them, but there is a cold, hard reality of health consequences.
Yeah.
So you can't forget that part.
Yes.
Because if like life was fair, we could eat all that stuff. That's what I was telling my friend. I was like, what if someday they get so good at like virtual reality that like me and you could go into a virtual reality world and we get inside of it and it looks just as real as this.
I know, right?
And we could order ice cream, pizza, cheeseburger, fries. And as you're eating it in the virtual reality,
sensation.
It feels exactly like eating it for real. And I'm talking, if they could get it down to a science where like exactly feels like you're eating it, tastes just like it, smells like it, feels like it.
Yeah.
You even feel it going down your throat. But somehow none of it was real. You'd solve obesity.
Well, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like
the enjoyment is like before it gets to your stomach.
It's the mouth pleasure. Then later, people always regret it.
Yeah.
I mean, even people with eating disorders, when they binge, they have these deep, regretful feelings afterwards and stuff. And it's like, so if you could do it in a virtual reality setting, and none of it actually was real, imagine what a moneymaker that would be.
When the fact you were talking about that, and I got really excited, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you could just like, you could go like dominate some ice cream really quick, but have no negative health effects of it.
Laying a big cheesecake.
Yeah, that'd be so weird though. I wonder what that would be like.
Would
people abuse that, where they would just be sitting in there all day?
Anything like that, you're gonna. I mean, you have it already
because it's a dopamine thing.
You already have it with video games, so like
it's like a dopamine hit. So we're hitting the dopamine button over.
Yeah.
It'd be the same thing with virtual sex. Like people would be in there too much all day, hitting it again and again. That's why, like, I think balance is good.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, definitely.
With everything, it seems like balance is the key.
Yeah, and it's like you said, kind of surrendering to those kind of guilty pleasures from time to time. I think it's important. It's healthy, and it's something to look forward to. And
I think that's the thing is if you hold off on them, then when you do get to have them, it's more fun. If you do it every day, you're like, now nothing pleases
or like
me.
your close friend, he wants to take you out for a special day.
That'll be a blast.
Like for like one day, you can be like, all right, instead of like, no, I can't.
But I feel like you do that every single day, it becomes boring. And that's how people get depressed. It's like, nothing's making me happy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
don't give yourself everything every day. Hold off on it,
Yeah.
and then you'll enjoy it when you get it again.
so it was crazy. Like right before COVID, like the studio was popping, and we had all these business opportunities, and I was getting like wined and dined by potential partners and stuff.
That's tight.
And the first couple ones, I was getting these badass steaks and cocktails. I'm like, yeah. And one day I came back and I was like, I don't want to go do that again. Like it became like this.
It was
thing
too much
that I
of a
had
good
to
thing.
do, and I was like, and it, you know, I look forward. Like my wife and I, like once a month, we'll go out to a nice dinner, and I look forward to that. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh,
Right,
and that's weird.
So that's the problem with overdoing shit, because then it's
Yeah.
like too much of a good thing. You don't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah. So and that was a weird, because I've never had that type of treatment before, and I was like, I can't believe I'm sick of this. Like,
Yeah, you're like, how am I sick of this? Steak and drinks, and I don't have to pay for them,
Yeah.
bro? Like, seems like the best case scenario you could have yourself in.
yeah, right.
That is weird, right? Yeah. I feel like I could never get sick of a steak, but you know what? I bet I could.
Yeah.
If you did it every single day, or like every, you know, like, because like when I have it, I mean, like that's the thing, like, I guess when I eat my meals, I don't really get sick of them, and I eat them every day. But I'm also in a calorie deficit, so I'm just hungry for anything.
Everything tastes good.
Everything tastes good at this point.
Well, there's something to that, man.
Mm-hmm. That's the toughest part about fitness, dude, for bodybuilders anyway. Like if I get a client, the idea that you have to just kind of eat the same calories every day, they don't, like a lot of people don't understand that. Like, It just depends, like, what your fitness goal is. If you are doing bodybuilding, you have to be very strict with a meal plan. And some people aren't okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it takes them a while to accept, like, what, I just eat the same thing every day. So yeah, you eat the same calories every week, and you have to track it, and then we have to make adjustments so we can see if you need to go up or down. You know, it's like,
well, it's a huge mind shift to be like, you know, eating as a resource that's going to fuel your body, as opposed to this like reward and like enjoyment thing. And it, not that it has to be exclusive, but more of this than that. It's a huge shift.
Right, it is. Yeah. And I get it. Like, it can be a reward, and it should be sometimes. It's like, but yeah, if you're getting into bodybuilding, it's like, that's the big thing. You have to, and like, the more you are strict with it, you know, the better your coach is going to be able to see what's going on. So the more you kind of like cheat on it, like your coach is going to be like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like, why is this different than last? Oh, so you weren't consistent. Okay. You know, people like, it's a tough one for people, I've noticed. Yeah. It's not, eating's a tough thing.
Yeah. It's, especially if the client is not competitive, they're just doing weight loss.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting, it's like it's an emotional thing. So
it is. We get emotional about food.
Yeah.
And I think we're wired that way as creatures. Like, you know, I mean, it's our reward system. We're designed to seek out dopamine.
Yeah.
And if we're like living in this world where it's all around us all the time, easily accessed, of course we overdo it.
Yeah.
You know, we're like the mouse that's like hitting the cocaine button. Like they put those cocaine, you know, like. There's these studies where they would like have mice, and they'd have a drugged out water bottle and a regular water bottle.
Yeah.
And when they would have the mouse, so this is like research that who was talking about this? The dude's name, I can't remember now, but they did these studies with mice. So like the mouse that was alone would go to the drug bottle over and over again, and it would hit the drugs because it didn't have anything. The weird thing they found, so this is where like they're finding that addiction is like more complicated than we thought, because it's not just about the chemical hook sometimes. So then they would put the mice with the drug bottle and the regular bottle, but they would put them in a situation where they could socialize with other mice, and they had a bigger enclosure with like fun things to do and like toys and games they could play, people to hang out with. And the mice would actually go to the drugged bottle a lot less. So it shows that actually like, you know, the opposite of addiction is connection with other beings. So sometimes it's not just the chemical hook.
Yeah, it's like your
environment. So yeah, sometimes like, and I think that actually is how a lot of people kind of beat drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's the gym for people.
Absolutely.
So they'll find that community, that connection with the gym, and they're able to, or even religion sometimes, church, they'll be able to put aside that. So that's an interesting thing too. Dude.
It is. And it's such a powerful thing, just like connections to other humans.
Super powerful.
Support.
That's one of the best things about fitness, I think.
Yeah.
You know, you get to meet all these different people and make those kind of connections, and they're like long-lasting connections, dude. And, you know, better people's health, you know. I mean, that's what you're doing, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's nice about, like, when we went out there and I was trying to connect with other gym owners and professionals is, you know, like, I would, you know, not everybody bought or became a customer or partner, but there's some that we didn't sell to or connect with, but we became friends. And it's really cool, like, talking to a coach in California who trains pro boxers. Like, we'll just jump on a call and talk about training, and it's like...
So then you get to, like, learn about all these sports and stuff, too, and, like, what their needs are and everything.
Yeah,
like.
and that's the other thing, kind of going back to our earlier topic, some of the smartest, like, badass trainers don't say much at all on social media.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I went and visited this guy, and, like, he trains world-class boxers, and, like, he was an encyclopedia, but he's not out there, like...
Showing off.
Yeah, it's just like this guy.
Social media is just for showing off, dude.
Yeah.
It's really just, like, that's all it is.
It is, but you kind of need to do a little bit of it.
You gotta do it nowadays, bro. Like, it's the only way. Like.
And I think that's, you know, we're going back to the topic of marketing, is finding that organic way that you can show off your strength and your skills without, like, you know, being obnoxious about it.
I know. It's like I don't even know if I'm doing that correctly. Yeah. Like, I'm always like, am I overdoing it? Or, like, you know, you got to promote your shit, but.
Yeah. Well, I think, honestly, like, just that conversation we had about how you're talking about, like, how you look at how people should eat. I mean, it just speaking your thoughts and how you look at it.
Just right, yeah. Like, I just like to be open about what I think. Yeah, like whether, like I said, actually, there's been times on here where I've had people that I've really disagreed with, or not even disagreed with, but kind of just had a different opinion. Yeah. And I would rather have a person come in here and disagree with me or have a different opinion, but they're being themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I love, dude. I mean, like, we have that other powerlifter, Sam Deason. He comes on here, you know? Yeah. And the dude, he'll just talk, and he's super opinionated about certain things, but he's passionate.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it. Yes. I love it. And I don't even disagree with him about a lot of stuff. I just love that he's, like, passionate, and he'll talk shit about things if he, like, thinks they're wrong.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it hurts people's feelings and stuff, but, like, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because he's being himself, you know? Yes. And, you know, he's willing to put himself out there that way, and I think that's pretty cool, you know? Like, you know, it's better than having somebody, like, pretending to be something because they think it's going to get them something, or, like...
Yeah, having met a lot of people in person and see how they behave, there's a lot of discrepancies.
Do you, like, run into people where, like, you can tell they just want something from you?
Oh yeah, I mean, that is the one thing, you know, I own a business, so I get sold to every day. Everybody's calling me like 10 times a day trying to sell me something, whether it's...
So you don't, like, hold it against people because you're like, you understand what the game is. You do it too. You're selling.
But I can understand, and I don't mind that. Actually, I prefer you call me up or say, hey, I got this thing I'm trying to sell you. Maybe not that blunt, but whatever. Yeah. Like, this is my offerings. Instead of some people try and do the bait and switch.
Right.
And that's what I don't.
So what is a bait and switch, really?
So it would almost be like here's a good example. I contact you, like, hey, Nicky, I see you doing this podcast. Like, you know, I think there's some opportunities for you. I'd love to talk to you about it and see what you do. And this whole time, I'm trying to sell you my supplements, or and it's you know, and I don't care.
So you sell it in a certain way that it's going to be something beneficial, but really you're trying to benefit yourself only.
Yeah.
So you're like, so there's then the different thing is like when something's mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Now that's where something's good, right? Exactly. Like, I think that this is going to be good for you and me.
Right.
That's easier to sell.
I honestly don't even mind aggressive salesmen, but just like tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, don't do this thing where you're like trying to learn more about me and promote me. And I'm like, oh. Right. But as soon as they say that, like
interesting. Like, my buddy Josh is big in sales, so like he was on here once because he that's his thing. I mean, he's like a consultant, and you know, he's been out there trying to kind of coach people on how to make money.
Yeah.
So he'll get called like a scam artist a lot and stuff. And he's like, but his thing is he's actually trying to, like, you know, kind of like actually expose the scam artists and show people like the real way. And, you know, but clearly he's still trying to make money, but he's being open about it. So like, I definitely want to get him back on here again because I think he's got a method of sales where he's kind of he understands the old method of sales, which was like always closing, be aggressive, put them in a spot where they have to.
Yeah.
He's more like, and I heard this from the last guy I had on here too. He said the best thing that worked for him also, and he was a real estate guy, He said the best thing that worked for him was actually just being brutally honest. And that's what people seem to like connect to the most. So like telling them the truth about stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Josh was saying too, is like actually just kind of like being pretty transparent with people.
Yeah.
Seems to be the best sales method, you know, like I don't know. So that's what you're saying too. You don't even mind as long as they're kind of being open with you.
Just
like,
tell me what's up.
This is what I'd like to have accomplished, and this is what I think I can do for you.
Yeah.
This is what I think you can do for me, and is this gonna work?
Yeah.
You know? Like
Exactly.
yeah. So I don't know much about sales, dude.
Yeah.
Is that something you're good at yourself?
Yeah, I've become good at it, but kind of in my own way. And I kind of feel like we have similar personality types, and it might be we probably have the same kind of, I don't want to say technique or approach is the right way.
Yeah.
Because, we're not a big company. We're not known. It's not like people are out there looking for Roundbox, but where we get our community or connection is I connect with people on a personal level.
Yes. In person.
They like my energy. They like what we're about.
They like you as a person.
Yeah. And then, that's how we're growing. It's slow and it's gradual, but it's real.
Yes.
I'm not calling a football team like, hey, I can blah, 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 XYZ. You want in or out? It's more of a like, it's like that kind of long game.
It's more like, kind of like grassroots almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah. Like
it makes sense for the scale we're at and what we're doing because it's, it's a newer concept. So it's.
Now, do you feel like in 5 or 10 years, like, is there going to be a time where you feel like you're going to be able to scale up big time?
Yeah.
Or is there like a goal where like eventually you want to sell? Or
yeah, it's that was probably all of COVID, understanding what boxes we need to check off to be able to scale. Mm-hmm. And so that was, it was a long lesson and we learned it.
Yeah.
And, all these things were prepared for us. So that was all logistics.
So how many times have you already felt like you've kind of scaled? Have you scaled up a bunch or?
I would say, if I always think of things in like 20%, I would probably say we're at that 40% range of growth.
So there's still a lot to go.
Yeah. We're at that tipping point where we've proven that it works as a system. We've proven that it's wanted. So now it's marketing, manpower, visibility. Okay. And it's kind of exciting because.
So this is a fun time.
Yeah, this is like all the pins are set up and we're like ready to knock.
What are you guys doing in the marketing front? Like.
So other
than just like you said, the person to person, grassroots type of stuff.
Yeah, so I've been calling that digital door to door, and I'm sure other people call that too. But it's like reaching out organically online, and I'm the main one who does it. Eventually, our trainers who are helping me with this will be part of that.
They'll be doing it.
And so the other things on top of that is your paid ads is very important, and where you start is also very important, especially as a fitness product. Amazon's a different beast than Google, so you have to kind of make a decision there. And then in the background, we're doing SEO, so that's blog articles about commonly searched terms.
Nice.
And that was really cool about really digging deep with my buddy John, who's taking over the marketing, that whole strategic plan, is because no one's looking for joint strength. So we have to look at all the terms that people are looking for people looking for
Close
this would
it.
also want it.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, we have to look at the competition to outrank. Because like if I go how to fix your knee, like there's no way I can outrank the big companies.
The big knee companies.
But like I can be very specific, like how do I fix my knee after a heavy squat workout, or it's like these very specific things.
Yes.
And become the expert in all these tiny niches. It feeds your main niche, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. That's interesting, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
Because like, you can't be like home workout equipment and rank for that, like unless I have seven-figure marketing budget.
No, because that's already so saturated. So honestly, you being a specialty item kind of helps you.
Yes. Yeah.
In a sense, because it's like like you said, there's not really any other, joint specialist type of thing. I mean, so that kind of like that's the thing, like being yourself, being a niche actually is like your greatest superpower.
Yeah. Once you have that, and then understanding like if a really skilled marketer can show you how to leverage that, that's where
that seems like something easy to market, like joint rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Like joint strength, like. Because it's something that's like neglected.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So when we did the actual research, and I saw what people are searching for, the top searches, at least in our kind of field, is muscle building or injury. So we had to look at all those different terms and how.
And you can market a lot to injury.
Yeah.
Because that's what you it's a lot of rehab stuff.
Yeah.
Like obviously you said your system does work for hypertrophy.
Yeah.
It does work for muscle building, but it's like. If you can get in that niche of like injury, because dude, injuries happen all the time.
Yeah.
and someone's always rehabbing from an injury, and they always want to. When you have an injury, a lot of times if you're somebody competitive or you're an athlete, I think the number one thing in your mind is like maximizing the recovery because you want to get back to the thing you love.
Yes.
The fastest you can, but safely.
Yeah.
And to either the level you were at or actually a better level. Mm-hmm. Because you see that a lot when guys get injured. They'll actually, because they realize that maybe they were doing something wrong or that something that led to the injury.
Yeah.
When they come back, they end up coming back with a better package usually because they've actually learned from the injury. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the rehab actually helps them come back like actually stronger, bigger, and better than they were before.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's unless like, I don't know how Conor McGregor's going to come back from that. He broke his leg or whatever. Like, that's going to be weird to see that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, dude? You remember seeing that?
Oh, man, I do, man. And it's funny because, seeing fights in person and then you kind of get numb to it. But there's something about limb breaks that you just never get used to seeing.
So remember, like, Anderson Silva did it that time.
Yeah.
Conor did it. There is a video of Psycho Sid, the pro wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
He's like jumping off the top rope, and the dude's like my height, but probably like 240, 250. Yeah. And he's like jumping off the top rope, and he comes down, and his leg's in a boot, and you see his fucking just snap. It's one of the most gruesome videos. Look up Psycho Sid breaks leg. And watch that. Like if someday when my podcast has the fucking screen right here, which is a goal, I'll just pull that shit up and we can like just get grossed out by it, bro. But it is insane.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has the resources to get the best possible way to recover, it's Conor. I'm not well versed with that type of stuff, but I would have. The only tricky thing is like most sports, you could put your titanium rods or some sort of reinforcement. The thing with MMA is there's that shin to shin. How do you? And maybe he's got to change his style. I really don't know.
Because I don't know if he can kick with that again. The way he has been.
And also like mentally, and even if not even just emotionally or trauma, like I don't want to. There's something within your nervous system that stops you from doing certain things.
Right.
Like that's what I learned from.
You get a fear.
Yeah.
You'll get a fear of it.
It's rewiring. So the trainer I was talking about, trains pro boxers, he was telling me
you're scared to jump.
There's a certain stabilizer muscles in the shoulder. If they don't have X amount of power, you'll never hit as hard as your body can.
Right.
So it's like this one muscle, one motion. If he can get it to X amount of percentage, he knows his fighter's putting out maximum. And there's something in your nervous system that will not throw harder than it can decelerate.
Wow.
And it's not even a conscious decision.
It's like nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. So.
But when you have an injury, or you make something where you fail.
Yeah.
It can be it's kind of like getting back on the horse type of thing. It's hard because it's like the fear that it's going to happen again. But like you said, he has the resources, and like when I say like resources, it's like steroids. No, it's like he has the, because he's like not being tested right now. Right. And he was just in, they're remaking that movie Roadhouse. Did you see that?
Right. That's either going to be the best idea or the worst idea.
I feel like it might be awesome because it's Jake Gyllenhaal, and like that dude is a fucking G.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss, dude. Like, remember he was in that movie where he played a fighter and he got just like insanely jacked. So like, imagine Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor both on steroids, jacked and ripping throats out. Yeah. So it might just be like an awesome fucking movie.
It might even be better if they don't give Conor a script. Like, give him a shot of his proper 12 and be like, just be an asshole.
Right. Dude, we got proper 12 right here. Check it out.
I know, I saw that.
My buddy, I have these customers, Dave and Jillian and their daughters, and they are actually Irish folk that have immigrated here. Yeah. And then her brother Ashley, he comes here all the time, and he's like just a badass dude. But when they went home for Christmas, he's like, I got to bring you back something. Yeah. And he knows I really don't drink, but he's like, I had to get you this Conor McGregor just shit. And everybody's like, oh, that's not even that good. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It's Conor McGregor shit, and it's like badass Irish whiskey. I think it's dope. I know. Like, I think it's an awesome gift. And
it's the same reason I bought Mr. T cereal when I was a kid.
Right. Sometimes it's like, I want Terramana. Because I like The Rock, dude. I don't care if it's the best tequila. I'm trying to support my bro. Come on. Yeah, it's just something. Yeah, but you're right. He might do better if they just kind of let it. He's got such a personality that, like, I don't know, dude. I feel like It could be a really cool movie.
Yeah, like I said, in my head it's a 50-50. It's gonna be horrible or it's gonna be amazing. But now you said Gyllenhaal's in it, like
well, because we're in that time where like for what like movies they were kind of scared to make anything a certain way because they don't want to offend certain people and stuff. But like maybe that's what we need is just like a big like testosterone filled like throwback to the fucking like remember the Expendables? Those were huge hits because like people were hungry for that kind of like cheesy like testosterone filled like action flick.
Well, I felt like there's a few movies like there was the one Chris Hemsworth did it on Netflix. Is it Extraction? It's just like straight up like raw like action.
Yeah. Well, The Rock still does that shit. Like sometimes you just want those fun action movies, bro. Like it's like
I want to see dudes fucking other dudes up in interesting situations.
Yeah. Just like we need those heroes' journeys. It's part of us as humans. We need that storytelling, dude. Yeah. It gives us something to aspire to be. Yeah. And as long as you're not like delusional about it or trying to hurt somebody, like don't go in the bar pretending you're fucking Roadhouse and start like hurting people.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But like, hey, like it's fun to watch that shit.
Yeah. And there's something cathartic about it.
Yeah. And like having an actual athlete like Connor in there and he already has this like basically this personality where people either love him or they fucking hate him. Yeah. Because I know like the other Irish dude that comes in there, his name's also Dave. He just hates him. It's like he's giving us a bad name and all this stuff and fuck Conor McGregor. And I'm like, bro, he sells pay-per-views.
I know you can't deny the results.
He's a heel wrestler. He sells pay-per-views. Yeah. He's talking shit.
That's what
he takes it too far sometimes. Yeah, definitely. But the dude, he's a moneymaker. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they're bringing back the Ultimate Fighter, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be one of the...
That's right.
Yeah.
Chandler is coaching against him.
That's going to be huge, dude. Yeah. That's like... That might, like, really reinvigorate that series.
Dude, Michael Chandler's never been in a boring fight. So it's like...
Yeah, well, isn't he, like, super, like... People forgot about how good he is? Like, he's...
maybe, but he's been in there with the best. And when he loses, like, it's a competitive
So
fight.
Him and McGregor, that's going to be huge.
It's going to be fireworks.
Dude, that could be a big series. That could be a big hit for them.
Yeah. I know.
I'll probably be watching it depending on how you can watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because how do you even watch that shit now? Is it, like, on streaming?
On the UFC.
Oh, so you can get the UFC. Then I have to get the freaking UFC streaming thing. Shit.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, you got to have everything now.
Yeah.
Like NFL.
They're good about roping
Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Amazon, Netflix, HBO Max. Like, how many of these fucking things can I pay for?
Well, the problem is like I'm just gonna get HBO Max to watch this, and then they release another show. I'm like, God damn it! Like, all right, I'll just keep it.
I know. I do love HBO Max. They have really good shows on there. It's like hard to get rid of. You're like, I can't have all these streamers. Yeah. But then they always like, oh shit! Like then Paramount Plus has some awesome stuff. Dude, you see they brought back Beavis and Butthead?
Yes, I haven't watched it yet. I want to see it.
It's really good. I was like so surprised. It's still the same show. Like he didn't change anything. Yeah. It's like just as funny. Only they're like sitting around watching like TikToks and shit now. Because like basically the thing is like they did the movie. Yeah. So they get pulled through a black hole. So the movie starts and they're back in the 90s where we used to watch them.
Oh, and then they get pulled.
So that's how they get into 2023 or 2022 in the movie. Yeah. So they go into space because like they somehow get wrapped up in the space program. Yeah. And it's really funny. If you haven't seen the movie, it's on Paramount Plus. It's like Beavis and Butthead do the universe, I think.
I'll check it out.
Because the original movie was Beavis and Butthead do America.
Yeah.
This one is Beavis and Butthead do the universe. And so they get pulled into a black hole and they end up in the year 2022. So now they're in modern times. And so now it's like we have Beavis and Butthead again, but they're watching TikToks and they're watching like current stuff. So it's great. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It is brilliant, yeah. It's a good way to bring them into the new world without explaining, like, well, why didn't they grow up?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, well, they didn't. They went through a wormhole, and here they are.
Deal with it.
Mm-hmm. But it's some funny shit, dude. Oh. I love stuff with, like, nostalgia, you know? Especially if it's still done well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because sometimes they re-release something just to do it, and it sucks. But, like, they've been doing a good job lately.
Lately, they have been. It seems like they kind of figured that shit out. All right, so before we go, dude, like, what are your plans for Roundbox in the next coming years? Like, what do you want to get out there to people? What do you want to tell them about if people are interested in your products? Like, what can they do? Where do you see the company going in the next few years? Like let's cover some of that.
Yeah, I'll try and speak in the correct order, but like I said, the Mantis sticks, they've been
the biggest thing.
Yeah, everybody loves them, and what I love about it, it encapsulates my system, but it does it very quickly in the sense we can get the results we're talking about like immediately. Like you did a few of those reps, you immediately felt it.
Immediately,
so,
yeah.
Beyond market penetration, just the results we can get with people very fast. I'm really excited about, and the fact that we're talking to offices, corporations, working with Mark Bodybuilding.
Yep.
It's like we can hit so many people at once and help them all at the same time. So definitely pushing these. And then, excuse me, and I'm allowed to talk about it now, but we have a business partner we took on. We have sensors, apps, like it's going to be like a whole entire smart system.
Ooh.
So
sensors,
yeah.
And it's an app. And what's the app going to be called? Or can you say that yet?
We don't have a name for the app, but basically we're going to start with these throughout the whole system. Everything.
So you'll buy the Mantis stick.
Yeah.
And then you'll buy the app.
Yeah. So on all our equipment.
I know, dude. I had such a stuffy nose at the beginning. I don't know if I got a cold or something, but I'm like, sorry if I'm sniffling. My bad.
And this is a little long term, so maybe 3 to 5 years out. Everything will have 4 sensors. You'll be able to see your joint angles. So it's like we're really looking at like the studio of the future, the equipment of the future. So
which is good because a lot of stuff is going towards that, virtual reality thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of like end game. Like once we make a market penetration with e-commerce and get out there with our online sales, we'll start working on the smart system and the smart studios, because our vision is after this is out there in the wild, we're going to have studios in certain locations where you go in and knows you, it can read your force. So it's like, it's kind of
dope.
Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of dope.
And that's what's so exciting about, taking on these partners that have that capability.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So it's Mantis sticks all the way. And then we're going to make the equipment smart. Kind of next
now,
level.
are you still have like all your other equipment out there too?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is after this takes off, we can rinse and repeat with all the others. So
gotcha. So you'll be able to use a lot of these other things too. So now, is your stuff available on Amazon?
Actually, that's where we're setting up right now. So all sales are directly through the website myself. So either get a hold of me on Facebook, Instagram, or the website.
Right. Eventually, it probably will be though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be the future. Push. But so right now, it's just roundboxfitness.com. Okay, so that's going to be the big thing is the Mantis stick for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's exciting.
Yes.
And then so like when that app comes out, like it's just going to be able to like run you through a workout probably and everything.
Yeah,
and
there's
so work from home, even maybe like from the office.
Yeah, that's what's amazing is even like I said, whether it's fitness, joint health, flexibility, we'll be able to understand your range of motion. Like if when you're doing this, I'll understand like how strong your mid and lower traps are. So it's like the data we can get.
Sensors.
And our partner, he's about my age. He's a huge gamer, so he wants to gamify this. So it's like this could be controlling a robot or ship. Like,
so you could turn it into a game too. So like a game where you're playing it, but you're also getting health benefits.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool because people love playing games. But,
yeah.
So then it's like getting in shape, but like without feeling like you're getting in shape.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's something like the Wii kind of did that a little bit. Was that something that worked for them?
The Wii did a great job, and VR is taken off. I think it just makes sense to merge technology.
Like the boxing games where you're like boxing inside of it and everything, and that's pretty exciting, dude.
It is, and it is kind of things like we never really dreamed we'd be capable of. But when you find the right partners who've done it before and believe in you, it's like all right.
So that's something with business is just like you never know like where it's gonna go.
Yeah, and actually. We're not allowed to talk about his name yet until we have the contract signed, but he was a guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was just some friendly dude talking to me about, shop. And it was like, we were friends for about a year and a half. And he's like, hey, do you want to talk business? I'm like, hey, sure. And like, I mean, it was a way bigger offer, like opportunity than I even knew.
But so it just kind of goes to show you, like, you never know. Like, so cultivating those good relationships with people is very important.
It is. In genuine relationships, so.
Well, and that's comes from just being yourself. Like if you were pretending to be somebody, that's why it's like honestly just being a nice person is like the way to do it, right? Like don't fuck anybody over, try to be a good person.
Exactly.
And I think the good opportunities will come to you.
Yeah. And the few times like I will burn a bridge if I absolutely have to, but I have to be really sure I'm going to make this decision and never look back. So
I think somebody's got to really be shitty for you to burn the bridge, right? Like Like that's what they were saying with like kicking people out of the gym. It's like they have to really be a fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, for them to get kicked out of the gym, because we have such a, you know, good group of people. We don't want anybody to be kicked out. So like yeah. So if you're burning a bridge, that person must have done something really shitty.
Yeah. And it's,
But yeah, man. Well, that's super exciting, man. So like it's gonna be a cool next couple years for you.
Mantistics all the way. We should have the cert done.
Do you feel like you're gonna need like blood pressure medication by the time?
You know what? I think after I came out of this hole of the past 3 months, it was really tough.
You got through it.
I'm like re-energized.
And see, I didn't even know you were going through any of that shit, dude.
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's the thing is like I don't think I try not to air any internal.
No,
like,
you always got to fucking keep it together.
Yeah,
dude.
and then when you come out on the other end, that's when you can talk about
That's when you can talk about it. Yeah, no, that's exciting because it ended up being kind of a cool time to have you on the podcast then, because you have all this new stuff coming on.
Yeah.
And you're in a pretty exciting spot again.
Yeah.
Because when I had you on the first time, you had a pretty successful start, but this was before that. You kind of had that bump in the road. Man, I'm glad you got through that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's very exciting. Well, man, I think we've done over a couple hours, so we could probably... That's a good spot to end it. And
Perfect.
Do you want to give a shout out? Just go to roundboxfitness.com.
Yeah, roundboxfitness.com. My Facebook personal page, Curt Ligot, and our Instagram, Roundbox, is the best place to get a hold of me.
Yep. So if you have any kind of injuries you want to get through, any kind of like joint issues you want to get worked on, get a hold of Roundbox Fitness. Get a hold of Curt. Great guy. Yeah. Curt, I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And everybody out there, we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening.
Sweet.